Oh my goodness. How y'all doing? Hold on. Mm-mm-mm. Okay. Is that better? It was an echo. Sorry about that, y'all. What's going on, everybody? Praise the Lord, church. Oh man. Good evening to all of you. Happy hump day, all that good stuff. Hope you guys are doing well. It's getting cold outside. Can y'all hear me? Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. I had to get the audio fixed up. If you can hear me, put a one in the chat. Let me know. 10 people watching. Thank you, Yuck 2.0. How you doing, man? What's going on? Y'all, I had to push back the time because the price you paid for still having a regular job. Still got a regular job. Mama still got to work. Oh, thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for tuning in. What's going on, Kelly? 1111. Cannot wait for this. Got my notification on. What's going on, Francisca? Across the water in the UK. How goes it? This sounds great. See you then. You guys had to come back and give you guys an updated time, and we're here. All ready for my daily candy tea. Glad I caught the live this time. What's going on, Andrea? Young 2.0. Oh, Caleb. So glad you guys are here. You guys have made it in. Hey, Rhonda Davis, how you doing? What's going on? It's my mom's first name. How you doing? Yeah, make sure you guys are hitting that like button as you come in. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button as you come in. So I want to go over 3 orders that have come out. Shout out to Andrea. Is it Burkhardt? She has a whole blog, you all, on Substack where she's kind of keeping Andrea Burkhardt, and I'm gonna drop her Substack link in the chat where she has all of the legal court documents related to Charlie Kirk case with Tyler James Robinson. And 3 of the orders I found very particular. It stood out to me. Well, actually, it's 2 orders in a motion. One of them is to amend that pretrial publicity order. So, actually, it's 2 motions in an order. There you go. So there are a plethora of other documents on this Substack. Not many runners around. Yeah, I know, right? So weird. We got a. Is there another Rhonda in the LLC? I think her name is spelled different. But my mom's name is spelled just like yours, the first name, Rhonda. It's so crazy. What's going on, Saint? How you doing? Oh, look at that. See? God knows how to bring them all together. And so we got the Substack link to Andrea Burkhardt. Shout out to her. She's an attorney. I know. I feel so special. It's like my mom's watching in. She's alive. She sometimes shows up in the chat, but not often. And we shout out to her. Thanks for the link. You're welcome. No problem. And here's the link to Andrea Burkhardt, you guys. She's an attorney. She's been keeping up with the court docket, posting up the information. And so make sure you guys show some support. If you subscribe, drop her a few dollars. Tell the Lady Luck Club sent you. And she also has a YouTube channel as well. So she does go over a lot of the information. I did see her video she did breaking down the order regarding the pretrial publicity. And so I'm not shocked to see something like that when it comes to a high profile case. And you're talking about what the media can and cannot discuss, to ensure a fair trial for the defense. Because, oftentimes, depending on who it is, you get people that want to, of course, they upset, angry, hurt, confused. as a lot of people are with Charlie Kirk being assassinated. The way in the manner to which he was assassinated was just, it was callous and ruthless. It was not even, it's so outside of the norm. It's not something we experience every day like that. Just a public assassination like that is crazy. So naturally, people have a lot of, you know, feelings and emotions behind it, and you'll be surprised what people will do to get some sort of payback or revenge. That includes even getting on the jury if they have to. And so the more publicity the case brings, the more likely you are to taint the jury pool selection. Because all the publicity, of course, is more exposure from the media to the public. And how do you select a jury? You select regular people of your peers, you know, regular citizens. They're not all attorneys or other judges or anything. They're just regular US Americans, you know, that go in and hear the evidence and deliberate and give a ruling. And so, to ensure that you have a fair trial for the defense, you know, in one way I see it as, to make it harder for him to have an appeal or, you know, some sort of um, case or defense to appeal a ruling, is to ensure that you have an impartial jury. And especially if you're going after the death penalty, because that has to be unanimous. I believe in the state of Utah, the ruling has to be unanimous for um, the death penalty itself for sentencing. So it comes down to someone's life. It's not the majority. It's unanimous. It has to be all 12, and it doesn't happen. So what you want is an impartial jury. You want the facts presented, and you want them to be able to deliberate and do things the right way. Make it harder for him to have an appeal or grounds for appeal. And of course, you want them to make a decision based on the facts, the finding of fact, evidence, and the law. So you have people like, you know, Candace Owens that think she's somehow a journalist or a member of the press. You put things in place. Not that all of the press is trying to report salacious, you know, details and their own theories and conspiracies here. But you have people like her who want to consider themselves some form of journalist, member of the press, you know, reporter, however she wants to term it. And there has to be some measures. Because if not, look what happens. Candace Owens is vomiting conspiracy theories left and right. And yes, we're gonna go over her show she did today. Oh, child. As insufferable as she is, we gotta go over it. We have to do it, okay? And the reason being is because she goes over a list of what she claims to be lies. And it's just like, girl, just because you call it a conspiracy theory or a lie doesn't mean it's an actual lie, because she doesn't provide any documentation or evidence. I caught a little bit of the show from Jay Witt Live. Shout out to my brother in Christ, Jay Witt. So I was able to catch a little bit of it, you know, while I was still working from his show. And he was like, oh, this this girl is insufferable. She is. Candace, you're insufferable. I think she relies on that too to piss us all off. But it doesn't stop us from talking about it, Candace. You do understand that you do not dominate, you know, the stratosphere when it comes to reporting. And I'm still waiting to hear back from University of Rhode Island, because I had to go back and correct the date of birth. Yep. So waiting to hear back. Waiting to hear back. Then they ain't gonna confirm whether she got a degree or not. Candace, you're a clown. All right. So here's just some of the documents in place, and I wanted to go over a couple of them that, based upon my reading and understanding, depending on how the judge rules, could determine whether or not there is some limitation to what those who consider themselves to be members of the press are able to report and talk about. And so let me pull these up. Shout out to all of you all for tuning in. Court documents, for the most part, can be boring, but there's always some juiciness in it, and way I digest it is to be able to say, hey, let me explain it in a way that's relatable. I'm not an attorney, so me going through the legal breakdowns of it, you know, I give my understanding on what I'm reading, um, as simple as possible without changing the definition of it. I don't do that. I don't alter what I'm reading to try to redefine it. Nope, I read it and explain what I read as simple as I can in my mind and how I've understood it based on case law. There's plenty of case law throughout these motions and the order. And the judge could, set some sort of precedence with this because if not, this is how you got to look at the whole picture. You got people like Candace out here say nonsense, and her conspiracies, her willingness to point the finger at everybody is actually getting people death threats, and people are, being put in the line of fire. So it's not just a matter of, oh, I'm just giving my opinion and asking questions. No, it's leading to people getting online death threats because you're no longer opining or inquiring. You're accusatory with no evidence at all. And I do have the 2-minute clip of that CNN interview. Can we say shout out to that interviewer? Because she basically, I mean, she one thing it revealed is that Candace did not read the probable cause affidavit. Candace, how are you not reading the court documents related to the case? You're proving that you're not reading it. Your whole script you're writing for your dumb shows is not even showing that you have read the actual probable cause affidavit. And yet, you keep saying Charlie Kirk was your best friend. Even though you haven't said or proven any way how he was your best friend and that you two were even having conversations or a part of each other's lives for the last 12 months. Period. And so I just, I don't get it. I don't get it. So the first document here, and if you guys can see this, I'm going to make sure that I am small and this is bigger so you guys can see. Let's get some more comments in right quick. Hold on. Oh, hi, Mom. How you doing? Y'all, Rhonda Davis she's got my mom's same first name. Shout out to you. I watched her in the Amber Heard Depp case. Oh yeah, she's bad. Candace is horrible. Like, just read the court documents, Candace. Don't try to interpret it. You're not an attorney. I don't want to hear your interpretation of law. I don't do that. I just read it and just say, based on what it said, layman terms. I don't take out the meaning of what's being in the actual document itself. I don't do that. Like Pierre said, you have no ability to just separate your feelings out of the case and just read the facts. Same thing with the Macron's lawsuit. You have no ability to separate yourself from your feelings of the case and just read the facts. Just read the document. That's it. You're going to have all the time in the world to explain yourself in court when you start having those hearings. You can't make this up. What's going on, Michelle? I'm glad you're bringing this up. Apparently, a lot of people don't know this, and they think that they do because they like to watch a lot of Law and Order episodes. Exactly. I don't. Yeah, no. This is real life. This is real life, and people have expectations about how certain legal proceedings go based on television, and it's just not real life, y'all. So you don't want to, go through, like, if you're tuning into the trial hearing as it starts And if, based on what Erica Kirk has requested, they have cameras and media in, which they're, one of the motions is addressing that, the quorum and having the press inside of the courtroom. And so you don't want to get in there with the expectation that this is going to go this way and it's going to be open and shut. It's not always that cut and dry. When you're talking about a matter of finding a fact, law, and evidence here, everything is going to be challenged. The defense is going to challenge everything because they're trying to spare their client. Candace Owens, people like hers, trying to get him off. Oh, he didn't shoot him, but maybe he's involved. What are you implying here with no evidence? So you leave it up to people like her to keep putting out this stuff in the media, and more people that hear it, the more tainted your jury selection could be. Then guess what? Now you have, out of 12 jurors, you have maybe 6 of them that listen to Candace Owens and think that he didn't do it. And then he gets off. And then what? Because now she has no proof of the actual person that did. And yet she keeps claiming that we're getting close. Close to what, Candace? What the hell are we getting close to? Because Turning Point, it's not going to keep responding to you. People are not going to keep entertaining your nonsense. That's what you want. She wants people to respond to her. We're getting close, y'all. I just feel we're getting close. You can keep that feeling to God returns. It's not producing any evidence for the case either. Your feelings are not producing evidence for the case. You're not proving someone else did it. And if you have proof on that, yes, you would have to surrender that over to the FBI, whether you like it or not, girl. I know you're listening, Helper. You would have to give that to the FBI. Or else you would be withholding material information related to an open investigation, which would be considered interference, to which you could be charged with interference and obstruction. So hell yeah, you would have to give that information up to the feds. Yeah, that's how it works. It doesn't work in the world of Candace Owens' mindset. It doesn't work the way she puts it out there. That's fantasy. Real life comes down to what you see in any other court hearings, especially when you're talking about, a death penalty type of trial. That's exactly how it's going to go, if not worse. So it's going to be agonizing. It's going to be annoying. It's going to be a lot of back and forth, a lot of legalese, a lot of, court rules and case law thrown out. People may not understand. People are going to get frustrated. You're going to think it's boring. But understand that is how it is in court. That is how it is in real life. All right. So Michelle said, yeah, but according to Candace Owens and her cult followers, you watch a ton of Law and Order episodes and you're an expert. Yeah, that's what she thinks. Yeah, okay. And it's so crazy because even if she was watching Law and Order, she would at least have read the probable cause affidavit. Like, she would at least know that. But no. That CNN reporter called her out on that. No, I believe the affidavit calls it text messages. She's talking about Discord messages, Lord. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, if she did say, hey, I watch a lot of Law and Order, I would expect her to know what a probable cause affidavit is. Girl. I mean, I watch stuff on television or online doesn't mean that I know everything. Exactly. She didn't even review the indictment on her show. Exactly. Because she didn't. I blame what's going on right now as we have lost faith in our institutions and we have deceivers that rise up and take their place. Amen to that. Amen to that. She is definitely deceiving, misleading. Because if you have facts to present, then you present the facts. And then you let people take from it what they will. That's how true journalism works too, Candace. Because you don't know that. What's going on, Juju? How you doing? Green hearts. Oh, nice. I want to get through. Mr. B, how you doing? Hope I didn't miss too much. No, you didn't. You're good. All right, just starting. Let's get down to it, y'all. Oh, welcome in, everybody. Everybody speak to everybody. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Beck, how you doing? We got some new people up in here. Hey, Laura, shout out to my mods. Shout out to the members, to all the supporters. Thank you all for tuning in. C-Star, I see you in here. Let's see here. I want to make sure I'm not missing. I saw Beth up in here. We got 2 Beths. We got Rhonda up in here. That's the same name as my mom. And then two best. Shout out to Manny. Yuck 2.0 is up in here. What's going on? Shout out to my moms. Thank you all so much for tuning in. All right, y'all, let's get to this first one. And I'm just gonna I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm giving you all the link so you guys can pull those documents, these same documents out. But I pulled these three particular documents out because I think they're gonna be of uh, great interest to the media and have an effect on the media and what they can and cannot cover regarding this. And so this first motion here is for limited intervention and request for notice of motions to close, seal, or reclassify. So what this basically is here, you have these proposed interveners, and they're members of the press, the Salt Lake Tribune. Let me zoom in a little bit more so y'all can see big letters. Here we go. Relief requested and grounds for relief. So you have these interveners, the Salt Lake Tribune and its reporter Jessica Miller, which they named specifically, who will be primarily reporting on this particular case on behalf of the Salt Lake Tribune, St. George News, the Associated Press, Fox 13 News, Millard County Chronicle Progress, Cole, which is a Castle Country Radio, KUER FM, sounds like another radio station, Lehigh Free Press, the Park Record, CBS Broadcasting, the New York Times, CNN, Fox News, and Law and Crime Network media interveners, which they're collectively called throughout the document, by and through their undersigned counsel, respectfully filed this motion for limited intervention and request for notice of motions to either close, seal, or reclassify. So what they're asking for is this. If there is a motion to have any documents closed, sealed, or reclassified, can we get a heads up? Can we get a notice of this? And the motion for limited intervention basically is we want to be able to report on the story, the facts of the case, without trampling over the right to due process, but without violating the rights that we as the members of free press have in the US. What's interesting about this is that they name these proposed interveners. Whose name do you not see listed here? That's right, Candace Owens. Candace, you're not included. You're not a media intervener here. They name these people for a specific reason. Because the court does not necessarily have to give notice to the media that someone that either the state or the defense filed the motion to have documents closed, sealed, or reclassified. They're asking for that special permission because what they don't want is if you file a motion to have something, let's say something is sealed, right? You're sealing it from the public, essentially. Well, if it's sealed from the public, then you're restricting the media's access to being able to report on it. It brings a lot of questions to the table. Is it something that the media can report on? Is it something that the public needs to know now? Is it of great interest to the public? Like, does it have some sort of, let's say it's related to a public health warning, and there's one of those lawsuits where, if you or your family have been hurt or harmed, please call this number. And, if you've experienced the heartache and headaches and stomach, wild bowel syndrome and bleeding and all these things, you may have a case. And then you get to trial, and then the state or maybe the defense tries to file a motion to have certain documents sealed that the public should know in order to bring about some sort of health awareness. If you have that sealed and it's of the public's interest to know that this information is being, discussed in a hearing in court that could bring greater awareness, then the media is saying, you're restricting what the public has the right to know. So if you guys are going to do that in this case, can we get a heads up that someone is seeking to have documents sealed, closed, or reclassified. Even reclassified can include redactions. So we're kind of experiencing that, right, when it comes to the Epstein files. They're both parties, both sides, Democrats and Republicans, want all the Epstein files released because of transparency. See, we ask for these things, and sometimes we don't really understand the full extent of that until something happens. And then now you have, the executive branch like, oh, no, no, don't release everything. But see, this is what you wanted when you said transparency. Remember that? Yeah, this is part of it. It might include documents being released that you don't want released. But if we're to follow this Transparency Act, the Accountability and Transparency Act that we're expecting from our judicial branch of government now, that includes documents released that might not even be favorable even to the executive branch of government. That includes the president. And that's something he's learning the hard way with the Epstein files. But that's what the media is essentially saying in this. If we're upholding that, if we, as members of free press, have the right to report on information to the public, and we're operating under this accountability and transparency of our judicial branch of government, then we just want to have some sort of notice, and we want to be able to have a hearing to explain why we want to be able to report on it, and why, whether the prosecutor or the defense is asking for the court to seal or redact or reclassify or close anything related to this case. Does that make sense so far? And if I have any attorneys in here that can say, hey, you missed the mark, let me know. Let me know. What's going on? Hey, Saint, what's the matter? Hey, Rocky. Yuck, you are on point. Y'all, yuck, just get the 10 membership. Oh, thank you so much. Shout out to Yuck 2.0. Get the 10 Lady Luck Club memberships, you all. You rock, Yuck 2.0. Thank you so much. Y'all, I forgot it's a $25 member, $25 goal for the live stream. It's $25. Sometimes we meet it, sometimes we don't. It takes care of the expenses of the channel, because light bill and StreamYard and Xfinity, Comcast, I have Pacer to get federal court documents. All those things are real bills. So there you go. All right. And then, of course, we're going to get a desk. Lord, please don't let anything else happen to my laptop, because that might have to be the next thing to get too, which I'm just not in the mood to get a new laptop, but it's inevitable right now, because it's getting to a point where it's working overtime, and it overheated the other day. And I was like, man, y'all talking about irritated. But okay, so get back to this. I'm sorry. Y'all let me know if I missed the mark on this so far. If you guys understand where we're coming from so far with this document. All right. So let's get down to the meat and potatoes of what they're asking for, what they're saying. Here it says and I'm going to just start right here, to safeguard the rights of the press and public to access these highly newsworthy proceedings, media interveners asked the court to grant this motion for limited intervention and to enter an order directing that 1, all motions or other requests that would limit access to records or proceedings in this matter be promptly served on media interveners, and 2, media interveners be allowed to respond and otherwise be heard, meaning a court hearing, on access matters before any order limiting access in this matter is entered. First thing I said to myself is, thank God Candace Owens is not mentioned in the interveners. Hallelujah. Second thing is, this is a motion to the court. It's not an order. There has to be a hearing heard on this motion, evidence presented, case law, all those things. There are legal arguments from both sides. And then the judge gives a ruling on it. So this is going to coincide with the next motion we're going to take a look at, where they're trying to amend that pretrial publicity order. Y'all know that so-called order that Candace Owens somehow thinks she's bound by, which is also known as a gag order. There's a motion to amend that. So what they're asking for in this motion is similar to what the motion to amend that gag order is. Except this one here is also including if you're going to seal, close, or reclassify documents related to this. Give us a heads up. Let us come in for a hearing, explain why we should have access to that information, or tell us why you're sealing it or closing it or redacting. Does it make sense? So you have a summary statement of relevant facts. Media interveners are media entities engaged in the business of gathering and disseminating news. The group includes both local outlets focused on Utah communities and national news organizations serving readers and viewers worldwide. All media interveners share an interest in ensuring access to this criminal proceeding and contesting closures of restrictive classifications, including closures and classifications that have already taken place or been requested. And then they notated this motion to classify here, docket 102, and stipulation motion to order was a transcript and classified docket 152. In the 6 weeks that this matter has been pending, the court has carefully protected press and public access rights. As the court recognized, this is a serious case that has garnered national attention. Not all attention is good attention. Okay? Because Candace Owens is living proof of that. She's giving us all a headache. She's sitting here throwing out conspiracy theories. People are catching online death threats. There is a boundary between free press and free speech and what is defamatory, what could be considered harmful and dangerous to others, especially to their livelihood and well-being. Does that make sense? And this is why she's in court right now facing a lawsuit from the Macrones. Because free speech does not mean you go out and make provable false statements and then show a reckless disregard for the truth, meaning you're showing malice intent. And she understands that all too well because she said that when it came to USA Today and when it came to her lawsuit on that was filed against her from Kimberly Klacik. So she understands that concept. But like Kimberly Klacik said, Candace Owens gets to court and pretends like she's stupid. You can't hear me? Can y'all hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Is my sound in? Y'all let me know if you can hear me. You're good? I'm good? Can you hear me, Rhonda? All right, cool. Thank you. You can hear? Okay, cool. What's going on, Caleb? How you doing? Hi, Julius. By Cloud. How you doing? So, here's where they're saying, okay, the court has routinely granted these requests, imposing conditions as needed to account for other competing interests. So, as this goes along, it's not unusual to see someone file a motion to have certain things, shut off from the public. It just depends on the information and the impact of it on the case itself. Is it going to, cause some sort of harm to the case, to the jury pool, hinder, due process for the defense? Those questions have to be answered when you file these types of motions when it comes to members of the media and the press reporting information. But what you're reporting has to also be factual information that cannot be a clear violation of harassment, defamation laws. It can't do someone to be harmed or hurt. Those things have to be considered as well. And the fact that, someone like a Candace Owens is not named in this is just happiness all around. We should all be very excited she's not included in this. the court takes that into consideration. Is what you're reporting going to be factually based? I mean, if the facts in and of itself is intriguing and of great interest to the public, you don't need to put your own spin on it. This is a legal court matter. It's just criminal proceeding here. No one needs to make anything up for this. Reporting the facts in and of itself, it's eye-opening and just awing in and of itself. The details of the case is disturbing. And you're talking about someone facing the death penalty. Who needs to add to this? Especially if it causes others harm, irreparable harm, or puts them in danger. And so because of that, the judge will consider that when it comes down to giving a ruling and establishing an order on this. And that's what the prosecutors are going to also, or the defense more so than anything, they're going to also argue. Your Honor, listen, you got people out here calling themselves, free press and media here, journalists, reporters, and they're saying things related to this case that's actually getting people harassed, bullied, doxxed, online death threats. A man has been charged with 12 counts. Candace Owens still has not acknowledged that. And all because Nicholas Ray was listening to her and a neo-Nazi. So the defense is going to have ample argument to say, there's a reason why we're saying to limit and restrict what's reported out there. Because if they're not going to report the facts and they're just going to sit here and give their opinions all day or create these conspiracy theories, then what good does it do for the case and for the general public? Does that make sense? If Candace Owens could just pull up a picture of a young man wearing a green hoodie and say, hey, he looks suspicious, and then now you have 5 million people looking for you on Twitter X, she's giving the defense a case to say why there should be some restriction. So that could easily be put into consideration. And I believe that was part of what was considered because we went over the order for the pretrial publicity. One of the questions I asked was, is Candace considering herself a witness when she's talking about, oh, I'm going to violate a gag order? What gag order are you bound by, girl? But I wish she would be bound by a gag order. That way, if she violates the order, then she can be charged with contempt of court. And that would not be a bad thing. Because now she's showing that she intentionally and willfully wants to violate a court order. And Candace, if you do that, you will make our day, girl. We will not be upset if you decide to violate a court order and either party decides to file a motion for contempt on your ass and you get sanctioned and or fined and or jailed for doing so. That would not bother us. We will rejoice. The 30 days should be very hard for you. It wouldn't matter. So that's one of the reasons why I feel like this type of motion could definitely affect not just what reporters and members of the press report on, but because it doesn't even include Candace Owens. Oh my God. It makes it easier for someone to say, hey, the stuff that she's putting out here has nothing to do with the case. And yet she wants to consider herself a member of the press. And she's causing irreparable harm and danger to people. And they can easily seek an order to gag her if that's what she wants. That can happen. And then you got the people who are being affected by this that can easily sue her for defamation. And she wants to be sued. The other day she was talking about, sue me. I want subpoena power because she doesn't understand how subpoena power works. That I believe. Candace, you don't know how subpoena power works. But, your wish could be everybody's command. We would love that. So, what's going on, Beth? Here's the other Beth. How you doing, Beth? You okay? Yeah, Diane, how you doing? Yes, she is definitely malicious. Let's get into comments. She said Tyler Robinson was somehow involved but didn't pull the trigger. Anyone facing the death penalty was snitch in a heartbeat instead of being the fall guy. Exactly. Because what is the benefit to saying I'm willing to lose my life over just being involved with something this serious, where it involves a man having his life taken in front of the public? It's a public execution. In simple terms, a public execution is what we witness. And he's nothing more than just involved. And Candace Owens cannot produce evidence to show who else did it or who else is involved. And the evidence, Candace, you heifer, has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand how that works? We all know you don't, but that I'm just, I'm asking for just the sake of asking you. Because she doesn't like it when people accuse her of things. But she accuses everyone else of doing everything, including criminal activity. Candace, your evidence would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt because you're talking about a criminal matter involving the death penalty here. You can't just throw out mere accusations. That's why the FBI is laughing at you right now. Kash Patel, you need to grow a spine. Stop entertaining her foolishness. Grow a spine. You're a whole grown man. Grow a spine. Don't let her sit here and run and dictate anything that the FBI does. We, the United States of America, don't take kindly to threats from agents, foreign or domestic. Don't care. That includes you, Candace. You sitting here trying to put down a kibosh on the entire FBI. You asking for this man to step down for what? No one cares if you think he should. You one person. Girl, bye. Kick rocks, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Ciao, boo. So the fact that she thinks that's how it goes is laughable to me. But no, this is how it goes in court, Candace. Yeah, no, this is how things go in court. Complex documents that you can't understand. That's why she hasn't read the affidavit. She hasn't read the indictment at all because she doesn't understand it. Girl, you can kiss my ass. I don't care. All right. Unsurprisingly, both parties have attempted to chip away at those rights almost immediately. On October 9th, 25, defendant filed a motion to appear in civilian clothes and without restraints. When it came time for the state to respond, it moved to classify its response as private. In justifying that classification, the state stated that the response included information that the court security director regarding specific security measures in this case. Even if this were true, the press and public cannot, of course, verify the contents of a private filing, including whether these security measures could have been protected through redaction rather than a private classification, which is what I was saying earlier. Even if it leads to a redaction, you have to think about the impact overall. How would it impact the case, impact the public's right to know, the interests of the public? All those things have to be considered, even when you're doing a redaction to a document. The state appears to have used the private filing to argue for limiting press and public access to these proceedings. In Section 5 of this, his reply, defendant stated that he agrees with the Utah County Sheriff that the court should limit media coverage or video or photographic coverage at the least, so defendant's physical appearance is no longer the subject of interest. Based on that reply, media interveners understand that in addition to relaying details about security measures, in its opposition to the civilian closed motion, the state also made broad arguments about limiting media coverage in this case altogether. Media interveners, of course, oppose those arguments on their merits. Just as critically, however, media interveners object to the practice of placing arguments about restricting public access to these proceedings in a non-public filing. So, and I say this because, as someone who considers themselves to be an independent journalist, there are a lot of things that I want to see related to this case. I want to see the autopsy, but I know I can't. It depends on the information, whether or not is something that I need to know in order to report the facts of this case. Like, I don't need to know Charlie Kirk's medical information to do that. That's why I keep saying that what Candace did was wrong when she posted up that screenshot of him going to the hospital to the ER. The medical staff that sent that to her violated HIPAA as a covered entity. And Candace disseminated that information of the CMIA without consent. She could be held liable for invading his privacy. And that would fall upon Erica Kirk as the next kin to sue her ass for that. So CMIA and HIPAA are similar, but still two separate laws. So she could still have some sort of liability for doing that. We did not need to see that print screenshot in order for her to talk about certain matters of the case or even the investigation as far as what has been disclosed to the public. That was not necessary to release. And that's what has to be considered throughout this case here. And what they're saying in this motion is this: if you filed the response, why did it need to be filed as private when certain information you're claiming that is going to release or disclose security details or confidential information or personal identifiable information could have simply been redacted? Does that make sense? So, in essence, this motion here, and I'm just going to scroll down to the end because I just wanted to kind of highlight a couple of those things. It's basically saying, and I'm going to just get to the conclusion. Both parties have already sought to limit access to this proceeding, arguing that this case has garnered worldwide attention, created a lightning rod for controversy. And it's not everybody creating that controversy. I mean, you just have one clown sitting here making conspiracy theories for no reason, and provided a platform for pundits and other attention seekers with varying levels of mental stability. Yeah. See replies, press motion to appear in civilian clothing, and they citing the information in that response. Defendant has told the court that this case has already become a content tornado, a trial that is bound to generate both primary content and more inflammatory secondary content. But cutting off media access will not eliminate secondary content here. It would only make it less reliable. Well, here's the argument to that. You already have those out there that are putting out information that is not reliable. It is not supported by any documentation or evidence. And it is creating some serious backlash, especially considering how large Candace Owens' platform is. Yes, I'm talking about you, Candace. So, if they bring in that argument with her and others that are reiterating whatever she's saying, they're disseminating this nonsense from Candace Owens. You got a lot of channels doing that. A lot of people with huge platforms disseminating the same nonsense that Candace Owens is putting out there. Don't you think the defense would take that into consideration? You don't think they're watching Candace Owens? Of course they are. Of course they're watching you, girl. But they're watching you to help their case because you seem to want to help the defense either way. She wants Tyler Robinson to get off, I guess. She doesn't think he did it. Don't you think that the defense is watching her every show she does now? Especially after that interview, the portion of that interview got out. Of course they're watching. But the problem is the information she puts out is not factually based on anything. She puts out information. It's like sound biting, throwing out red meat to her base. And then she wants the responses to corroborate this blanket general accusation she puts out there. So when Turner Point USA responds to her saying, yes, the text messages are genuine, they're authentic, but this is not what it said or meant, or she cut parts out, or blah, blah, blah. All she needed to hear was the text messages are real. They are authentic. And that was it. And then she took that and ran with it. Imagine had they not responded to her, which I've said 1,000 times. Turning Point USA and everyone else in between needs to stop damn responding to Candace Owens. The FBI, Kash Patel, the Israeli Prime Minister, stop responding to her ass. Let her say whatever she wants. Because at the end of the day, right now, the only thing she's doing is trying to help the defense out by getting Tyler Robinson off. Because she doesn't think he did it. Who cares? She doesn't think. Period. The end. That's all we got. That she doesn't think. ... And with that, the defense won't have much else to go on because she has no evidence and she doesn't think. Because you can't make this stuff up. That's what she's doing. But you just, it's so ridiculous. The fact that she's doing this and it's hurting the prosecutor's case, the state's case is crazy. But because she has no evidence, that's the only shining light. She has no evidence to prove anything she's saying. They're validating her claims when they go out and respond to it to say whether it's true or false. No one owes her that. That is what muddies the waters when it comes down to members of the press, journalists, true journalists, reporters, from reporting on the factual information. Because now you got to get past all the nonsense that's coming from the conspiracy theories. All the candy asses out here that's going on everybody's videos, leaving dumb stuff in the comment section. As if that does anything to me. It does nothing. I don't care. Candace won't even produce facts or evidence to show she has 2 degrees. Why should anyone take her seriously regarding this case? Well, it's because she keeps crying that he's her best friend. She keeps invoking people's feelings and emotions in it. And unfortunately, those feelings and emotions don't produce evidence. They don't explain, a finding of law. So it's irrelevant. And that's what's happening here. And that's one of the things the judge has to consider when he's writing these orders regarding pretrial publicity. So their argument could easily, and trust me, I want to be able to report on the facts. That's all I do. But I know I have to be careful on the opinion I give. My opinion has to be based on the facts. But you have a lot of bad actors out here that claim to be journalists with no degree that don't care about that. They don't care about integrity. And that is what causes a huge issue when it comes to covering these types of cases. So that's why you see the court and the state trying to put these safeguard measures in place with these orders. It doesn't infringe upon free press. No, because, think about it like this. Candace Owens has not been shut down. As much as people want her to kick rocks, she still has a platform. Her videos are still posted up on YouTube. If a judge really wanted to go for her, they would have the state would have filed a gag order against her and presented a case as to why she should be gagged. But the fact that she hasn't had these things happen, it shows that they're not trying to restrict free speech and free press, no matter how hard she wants you all to believe that. But they have to safeguard the case too, because contrary to her belief, she has no evidence to prove anything else. And so far, the bad guy is in jail. And that's where we want him. It's so crazy. She wants him to get off. I can't believe it. Through its rulings to date, the court has already recognized the critical access interests at play here to ensure that the press and the public's access rights are protected. Media interveners asked the court to enter an order granting limited intervention, requiring prompt notice of attempts to limit access and directing the media interveners to be given a meaningful opportunity to oppose access restrictions. And that is respectfully submitted back on November 5th. And the attorneys for proposed media interveners. So thankfully, Candace is not included in this. No, you're not that important, girl. You're not that important. And then you have this motion to amend. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but essentially this is a motion to amend or clarify the court's pretrial order, the pretrial and trial publicity order that was signed back on September 25th. You know, this order that Candace somehow thinks she is held by. And we went over it. It was basically an order where the lawyers for the defense and the state, the prosecution, were basically responsible for ensuring that all witnesses, investigators, and I'm zooming in so you all can see this, because we're going to get to, we'll make sure you guys, can y'all see this? Make sure you guys can see this. All right, cool. LLC broke Candace bubble. Oh, man. And I know, listen, going through court documents is not always the most salacious. So we're going to look at her stupid show she did today after this. But I just wanted to give you all this tidbit so that you guys can see if there is an order restricting. Here's how and why. And the possible arguments that the prosecutors can present to the court to say, this is why we're asking for limitations, because you see this dumb girl on TV called Candace Owens. She got a whole channel, Yana, and you will not believe what she said. We ain't got time for this. So, yeah, exactly. So who shall? Thank you, Beth. That's the golden question of the day, Candace Owens. You're saying that Tyler Robinson didn't do it. So who did? And where's your evidence? You mean all those visions where you're claiming the deceased spirit of Charlie Kirk came to you and said things to you, which is, going against the Bible itself, but whatever. Is Candace even Christian at this point? What is she? Is she even a Christian? Candace, you do things that go against scripture. I don't know if you realize that. Like, what exactly is she doing or saying to show, or just to show that she's still a Christian? I don't get it. Like, dead spirits are coming to you. Unfamiliar spirits. Unfamiliar spirits is what you saying, girl? Candace. Okay. Ooh, child, it's so demonic. It's not even funny. I know that's right, Rhonda. I don't think she is. Look at the fruit. I'm there. You shall know them by their fruit. Isn't that what the Bible says? That's what the Bible says. You shall know them by their fruits. She's lost her mind. And it was before Charlie Kirk passed away. She lost her mind, I feel like, when she got served that lawsuit from the McCrones. When she got served that lawsuit, But there you go, y'all. There's scripture. That's the word of God, Galatians 5:22-23. You don't talk about as a Christian a death spirit visiting you in a vision. You just don't. And this is coming from someone who lost, I lost my grandmother and my father. And I've had visions. I've seen some things. And my grandmother taught me that when God gives you a vision, the first thing you do is pray about it. Ask God for clarification and for understanding and interpretation. And then sometimes God will give you confirmation. That confirmation might be by way of someone saying something to you, or you'll come across a scripture, you'll see something on TV that will confirm the vision that you've had. And of course, people think of it as a coincidence. It's like, oh, that's a coincidence. Because that other source, let's say someone come and say something to you or talk to you about something, and they say something exactly what you've been asking or you saw in a vision. That other person didn't know you had that vision. But sometimes the Holy Spirit will send you confirmation. It might just be through simple conversation. And one thing my grandmother always taught me is that when God answers you, he gives you a peace about it. Whether it's a yay or a nay, whether he says yes or no, he still gives you a peace to handle that answer, to deal with the response. So whatever she's got going on, one thing I have not ever said is my grandmother or my father came to me in a vision after they passed away. I even know that. I mean, I'm just, I just don't understand where she's coming from. And I am a Christian. Just in case you guys are wondering. I am a Christian. But I don't believe in that demonic stuff. Oh no. Nope. Candace, you say some demonic things. You need to pray, girl. All right. Let's get back to this right quick so we can get to the video. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hit the like button as well. You guys are appreciating the content that's coming out of the Lady Luck Club. Make sure you are subscribed. We are almost at 30,000 supporters, and I want to be there by the end of next week. So please make sure you guys subscribe and share this content with others. Tell people about it. When you go to Candace Owens book club to see what she's talking about, make sure you bring up Lady Luck Club in there because she watches my videos. Yeah. Candace, you repeat stuff I say word for word. You don't even try hard. All right. it's so ridiculous. The order stated that lawyers participating in the investigation or litigation of this case shall inform all witnesses, investigators, consultants, staff members, or other members of the prosecution or defense teams about the prohibitions contained in this order. See, we all know Candace Owens had nothing to do with this order, but she tweeted that she planned on violating the gag order. This was the order she was talking about. And when I went over it, one thing I kept asking repeatedly to Candace, what do you consider yourself to be? Because you can't be an investigator because you're not. You're not a consultant, staff member, or other member of the prosecution or defense team because you don't work for the court. You don't work for the defense. You're not an attorney. You don't even have your degree in journalism, nor can you show proof. So are you considering yourself a witness? That would be the only plausible option here. And of course, she never addressed that again. Candace, we all know you didn't answer that question. But I told you flat out, if you are bound by any order of any court and you say that you're going to intentionally and willfully violate that order, oh yeah, we will be writing to the state to ensure that they file a motion for contempt against your ass. Just for all the nonsense you've put out there and pissed everybody off with, got death threats sent against people. Yeah, no. You will have to face a judge on that one. Yeah, that'll be overwhelmingly in the court. Everybody requested for that. Child, please. So during the waiver hearing on September 29, 25, the state asked the court to clarify the order, explaining that at this early stage, the prohibition should apply only to witnesses who are part of the prosecution or defense teams. Candace is neither. So people telling me she's not a witness, this doesn't apply to her. I know that. My question was, and it's always, why did she post that on Twitter X about her planning on violating a gag order? Why would she post that up? Because she would not have posted it up unless she wants to be a witness, because she can't be anything else. Why would you want to invoke yourself into this order, Candace Owens? She never spoke about that. So if you're going to speak about it, at least answer the daggone question, girl. The state added that it did not know exactly who its witnesses would be at the time, as there were thousands of people present when the shooting took place. That is a fact. In response, the court stated that the lawyers would be required to follow the order and inform witnesses of its prohibitions as the lawyers identify those witnesses. Candace, you were not there. You were not there at the actual event, the time that Charlie Kirk was shot. What type of witness do you think you're going to be? If anything, you're going to end up being, hit with some investigation for interference. If you keep talking about you got evidence to prove, or for a fact that Tyler Robinson is not the shooter. See, you still don't understand definitions of terms. Because when you say something is not a fact, you need to have facts and evidence to prove it, to support it, to corroborate it. We're getting down to the conclusion. The state asked the court to limit its pretrial and trial publicity order to members and witnesses of the prosecution or defense teams. If either party believes additional court orders are necessary, that party should file a motion and the court should set a hearing to address it. Let me tell you something. This right here is all I need to see. Let's say the prosecution decides Candace Owens is putting out too many conspiracy theories with no evidence that is causing great harm on this case and is going to taint the jury pool selection. They could actually file a motion to have her gagged. Here it is right here. If either party, I want to blow this up. Y'all see these words written on this paper? Put a 1 in the chat if you see exactly what I'm reading. Because it's good. This is good. Candace, this is for you, honey. In case I know you're listening, you heifer. This is for you, Candace. There you go. If either party believes that additional court orders are necessary, that party should file a motion and the court should set a hearing to address it. Do not think because you want to be a part of a gag order, but do not think because you call yourself a wannabe investigative journalist that you could not be gagged. Don't think that the prosecution or defense could not file a motion for additional orders for pre-trial or trial publicity restrictions. Oh, yes, they can do that. Here's the title of my video. Now you all see where I got this from. That would be lovely. This would be fantastic. Now you all see why I said emotions that could possibly, that might silence Candace Owens. Do y'all see that here? That is the power that the attorneys have in the court of law. Because they will present a damn good argument. The state would anyway. To say, listen, we're not fighting against dumb conspiracy theories. We can't get a good jury selected because of her nonsense. 6 people came in here and admitted that they listened to Candace Owens. We can't do this. This heifer is not producing any evidence or documentation. And Candace, I already said, you're not above the FBI. You're not above the rule of law. If you have evidence that could prove beyond a reasonable doubt that will sway the case, that will be material to this case, that someone else shot Charlie Kirk, you wouldn't have a choice but to give it to the feds. We don't care if you trust them or not. Because the idea is to catch the bad guy. And you don't seem interested in doing that. You just seem interested in just throwing doubt into this whole thing. But you have not said once who you think shot Charlie Kirk. You don't believe Tyler Robinson did it? Who did it, Candace Owens? And what evidence do you have to support it? These are simple questions that I know you can't answer because, you know, Peabody brain and all. But these are simple questions yet and still. That's it. And whatever evidence you have, you're putting out here on a platform where you have 5.5 million people subscribe to your channel. God help us. All the candy ass is just taking it in and running with it. And you're saying that he didn't do it. But you don't say who did. And they're not even asking you that question. No one is asking Candace Owens, who shot Charlie Kirk, Candace, if Tyler Robinson didn't do it? Who did it? If she says, we'll find out, you know, all will be revealed in due time. No, heifer. That's not what we asking. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Who shot him? You said you believe he's a part of it all. It's a part of the scheme. Who pulled the trigger? Very simple, direct question. Candace Owens does not believe Tyler James Robinson did it. He didn't pull the trigger. He's just a part of it. Who pulled the trigger? Candace Owens. Who did it? Because there was a shot and a bullet and a gun involved. And if she comes out with something like, oh, there was a poisonous pill in his tooth that exploded, And then I'm gonna go ham in on you, Candace. I promise you, I'm gonna clown you until you want to strike my video. I promise you that. I'm gonna hurt your feelings. This girl's trying to defy reality at this point. Who shot him, Candace? Who shot Charlie Kirk? Because obviously, all these visitations from a deceased spirit, he didn't tell you who did it. Everyone betrayed me. You think he gonna just tell you that and not tell you who the shooter is? That'd be the first thing you would think somebody would just say. Yeah, Abraham Lincoln did it. That's it. That's all I gotta say. I'm going back to sleep. Like, I don't understand. Tell us who did it, Candace. Say a name. So the feds can go get him. Because why would you want to kill him on the loose? That's how I see it. Why would Candace Owens want a murderer out there on the streets? If she's saying Tyler Robinson did not pull the trigger, then obviously the trigger man is still out here on the loose. And Candace Owens doesn't want to tell anybody and wants this person to be a threat to Erica Kirk and her children. That's how I feel about it. Until she says who did it. Or, Candace, you could just stop lying. So until then, Candace Owens obviously will not say who the shooter is, and now she's still putting Erica Kirk and the kids' lives in danger. The end. That's how I feel about that. You can't make random statements saying, "Oh, it wasn't Tyler." Oh, okay, well, who did it? Who did it then, girl? Because the bad guy needs to be taken off the streets so that he doesn't hurt Erica Kirk and the kids, right? See, we can all go for feels and emotions and hit at the core of things too. We can all do that. That's all I'm saying. I want the children to be safe. And if you have any, we know you don't have Candace don't have a soul, but let's just say there's a shred of it somewhere still left in your hollow body. Don't you want Charlie Kirk's 2 kids to be kept safe, Candace? Why wouldn't you say the name of the shooter? Why wouldn't you say who did it? And what evidence do you have to prove it? If you want his kids to be safe. Because that means the shooter's still out there. What if he goes to try to harm the children? See why you shouldn't just lie like hell? Because this stuff comes back on you. It's so disturbing to think that she would want that. Like I'm not going to tell anyone who did it. It's just going to come out in due time. What do you mean? What the hell are you talking about? He got 2 kids. So, she defies logic. Exactly. An elaborate scheme with dozens of people involved defies logic. And she can't say who these people are. But talks about, it's everything's going to come out in due time. No, we need this stuff to come out now. We're talking about a capital murder, girl. Where someone is facing a death penalty. What the hell are you saying? You don't make statements like that and then just leave it out in the wind and hope someone corroborates it. No, that's not how this works. It's so crazy. So we all know Candace don't give a damn, because if she cared, it's like deep down she don't like Erica Kirk. I flat out think she's just jealous and envious of her. Candace really wants to be the CEO of Turning Point USA. You will never be that in a million years. You just won't. Not at all. You can't even be happy and grateful for the platform you have with 5 million people. And somehow you think you're worldwide. Number one. She thinks she's number one on Earth, on this planet. Not even grateful for that. Let's say she was. She's not grateful for it. But for you to sit here and withhold information that will be material to the case, Candace, it's flat out evil. It's evil. It's disturbing. It's disgusting. It's vile. And it shows that you have no regard for Erica Kirk or the children's safety and protection, because you're saying Tyler Robinson did not pull the trigger. Someone else did, and you won't say who it is so that that person can be collected and put in jail where they belong. That is evil, and it's disturbingly evil. No rhyme or reason to it. Let's get back to this. The court should issue a prior restraint order that applies to lay witnesses only after making the requisite findings. Basically, let's establish if the witness is a witness or not, and go from there. If the court issues a prior restraint order applicable to lay witnesses, the state asks that the order only apply to those lay witnesses who are subpoenaed to trial, preliminary hearing, or other evidentiary hearing, and the order include, when it applies, how the parties can satisfy the order and which statements are restricted. And this is dated back on November 6th, Utah County Attorney's Office, Christopher D. Ballard. And you have the certificate of service. This was eval and docketed. And that's that. And then, of course, this last order, that was a motion. This last document here is an order for just standing decorum order, effective October 30th, 2025, as you all can see here. And I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it's just a standard order that's issued for how members of the press and the media are to conduct themselves if they're going to actually attend the hearing. So this is to ensure the safety, security, and orderly conduct of judicial proceedings and to establish a standard of conduct for those attending the proceedings in this matter. And as you all can see here, it's 6 pages. So they're saying the do's and the don'ts, the seating, conduct of spectators. So let's say, you decide you want to just go and observe and be a spectator, which I'm sure they're going to kind of restrict down because you're going to have families for both sides, family for witnesses, plus the media. It can only let in so many people. It's a high profile case. So it's not going to be a whole lot of spectators in there like that. And then Erica Kirk wants everything televised. I'm sure that that's going to factor into that motion to amend and the motion for the media interveners, what they can report. Plus, it factors into this order here for the standing decorum. Use of portable electronic devices. I know for federal courts, when my godmother was a judge, I couldn't even go to her chambers. I couldn't even go visit her without giving up my phones. And she was federal judge, so in the federal courthouse, they made everybody go in and give up their phones at the security checkpoint. You would have to have a court order from the chief judge to come in unless you work for the court. If you work there in the courthouse, yeah, you can keep your phone. But you would have to have an order from the chief judge of the court to be able to keep your phone on you. If you're a guest of the courthouse, even if you're a media, you have to use your media press pass, get an order from the court to be able to bring in electronic devices, recording devices, your phones, and those types of things. That would have to be accompanied with a court order. And that's the same thing here. You got to have a court order to cover you, to bring in, certain devices and things of that nature. So that's what this is here. And you guys can read that if you want. And this was signed October 27, 2025. And that's it. This is an order. So, no, this ain't going nowhere. These are the 3 orders, these 3 documents here, you all, that I feel like are definitely going to help establish how we talk about this. The trial will be televised, and they will have security and cameras watching. If anyone pulls out an electronic, they will be kicked out. Oh yeah, I think they're probably going to, for the spectators, they might take their phones, because I don't see, it said in the order that it can be on silent, but I don't really see the point of a spectator if you're not a member of the media, to which you would have to have an order already established either way for your electronic devices. But if you're a spectator, I don't see why you would need to be, to have your phone inside the courtroom. I just don't. So my guess would be they're probably going to confiscate the phones, and they can do that under courthouse rules if they want, without having to require a whole order for them to take the phones. So plus, you're gonna have a bunch of people in there that's, oh God, the candy asses. God. And all those who are there for the defense, they, they're gonna want to get in there. But hopefully they limit and just keep it restricted for just the safety of others. There are Furies codes problems to attack against them. Oh man, I don't advocate for anybody to be attacked or anybody to be threatened or doxxed or cyber harassed or bullied. I just don't. I mean, I wouldn't agree with that from any side of the aisle. That's why I don't like it with Candace Owens and her nonsense and what she's doing. Girl, you're doing too much. So I want to start this off with this 2-minute video from CNN.
When you say,
because I thought it was such a good interview, you all. It was so good. And then we get into parts of her show. And then we're going to end it on a comedic relief with Ami. Ami Kozak posted. Yay. So we're going to check that out and end out on Ami. But let's get to this. And you guys put a 1 in the chat if you can see and hear. Because this was epic and I just got to see it again. Well done to the CNN reporter. Good reporter is a good reporter, y'all. And this is where she sits here and says this nonsense about him not being the shooter. Oh my God, Candace, you suck. All right, let's get to it.
You believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by someone close to him. What do you mean?
I think that in the coming weeks, there's going to be a lot of financial reports that are coming out. And I, first and foremost, do not believe that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. I want to be very clear on that. Whether he was involved, I think the answer is yes. I think that's obvious.
And your basis for saying he didn't act alone is what?
I don't know, maybe the weird Fed messages that were concocted out of thin air that had no timestamp and were written like they were concocted.
Is what?
I don't know, maybe the weird Fed message.
I don't know. That's all you had to say, Candace, because you don't know. When she asked this question, Candace, were you aware that she was asking for evidence, documentation? Hopefully, you would have pulled out some paperwork of some sort. You understand that? Does she not know the definition of the word evidence? I don't think Candace understands the definition of the word evidence.
That were concocted out of thin air that had no timestamp and were written.
That's not evidence, girl.
They were speaking in 1822, among other things.
Oh my God.
Their lack of an ability to answer any basic questions about what took place.
But do you have any proof that the messages were made up? Because that would be
documentation.
Easily, proven.
Yeah, but they didn't put timestamps on them, and Discord came out and said they didn't exist.
This was supposedly text messages, not Discord messages. It's my understanding from the indictment.
I actually did not read that they were text messages.
The indictment calls them text messages.
What would it be like the feds are like on a computer, typing it out back and forth?
That's exactly what it is. The feds made up the text messages.
But you don't have anyone from like the FBI telling you that, or law enforcement?
Leaks.
Okay, you have leaks in the FBI? That means those agents are going to be subjected to an internal investigation. They're going to be scrutinized and probably fired because of you. So I hope you're prepared to pay their mortgage. Because that's not how this works, Candace. Just because you don't respect the feds does not mean that what they're doing is right by law or policy or procedure or anything. You understand that? Just like that hospital staff that sent you the screenshot of Charlie Kirk's medical information that you disseminated to the public without consent. Candace, that hospital staff should be fired and probably charged for doing that. You put people in a position to be terminated from their jobs and probably face charges by you simply saying, someone sent me this, or I have leaks in the Federal Bureau of Investigations. But you won't show the documentation either. See, the good thing about the medical file thing is that you actually posted that up. So there's no denying that you illegally obtained that. But you're not showing any documentation here. That's what she's asking. I understand exactly what this young lady is asking. Why is Candace not understanding the questions at all?
Yeah, telling you that, or law enforcement
She had
Okay.
leaks.
No.
Has anyone leaked to you?
And
that-
Tyler Robinson
But has anyone said to you, even off the record, like, yeah, we faked these?
I have very strong sources everywhere on both sides.
It's a yes or no.
Well,
It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no, Candace. Yes or no. I would have just asked it like that. Yes or no. It's a yes or no question. You don't have to sit here and assume or guess. You've already said you have leaks, so you've already put people's jobs in jeopardy. It's a yes or no.
Has anyone said to you, even off the record, like, yeah, we faked these?
I have
Yes or no.
very strong sources everywhere on both sides.
Well, I look forward to seeing the evidence.
Both
Yeah.
sides of what?
Because when we keep talking about evidence, it's like, who's going to present that evidence? Like the mainstream media?
You, heifer. This is priceless. You can't make this up. Y'all, she said, who's going to present this evidence? You. She's asking Candace Owens, do you have evidence to show that these text messages were fabricated? Very specific. Who's going to put, like, mainstream media? Yeah. You can't make this stuff up. This girl doesn't know the definition of the word evidence. Who's going to present this evidence? You would. You said you got it. Oh, this is good. Oh, man, y'all. I laugh every time I hear this.
I look forward to seeing the evidence of that.
Sure. Because when we keep talking about evidence, it's like, who's going to present that evidence? Like the mainstream media? Like who are you
Yes,
expecting
that
to
would be
come
a hot
out?
story.
No,
No,
it wouldn't
that's
be.
you.
It would be.
It wouldn't be.
If the FBI, like if I had a source telling me, like if I had proof that the FBI faked those messages, that would be an enormous story.
Yeah, I kind of feel
Yeah, it would be an enormous story and will also be material to this case, Candace. It would be material to this open investigation of a murder where the defendant is facing the damn death penalty, girl. Did I tell you all my freeze frames are epic? Look at this. Her wondering, why am I here, Lord? Like, we're all asking the same question, Candace. We're all asking the same question. Why are you here, Lord?
feel like we live in a post-Epstein world, and we know how stories get shut down. And
Girl, bye, Felicia. Make this up.
All right, you guys.
All right, y'all. This goes into her show. I'm gonna speed this up because we'll be here all night if I don't. This is priceless. Y'all, I know she talks fast. Thank God for the closed captions because sometimes I just can't believe what she says. So it's like, did she just say that? Yeah, and then I can read it. All right, y'all. So, y'all, this girl, who's gonna present that evidence? You have. I'm sorry. Are you asking us? Are you asking me this? Yeah. Candace, you just proven that you didn't read the indictment, that you have no idea what evidence is. You don't know where it comes from. It's just, I don't get it. Candace, if you have evidence, why are you asking where is this evidence going to come from? You got it. You said you got leaks. What do you mean? Oh, yeah. My freeze frames are epic, y'all. Somebody say it look like she constipated. All right, let's get to it, y'all. Put a one in the chat where you can see it here. Let's go.
Happy Wednesday. I don't know what these people thought. I don't know what they thought. I think they thought Charlie Kirk would get assassinated. They would very quickly bury him in a yarmulke and then convince the world that he was actually besties with Ben Shapiro and Josh Hammer. He didn't even know Candace Owens. His last words before he died were honor the Sabbath and buy Josh Hammer's book. Yeah. And also he had just written this Romeo and Juliet letter to Bibi Netanyahu. I feel like that was kind of the plan. But look, the best laid plans, they can fall apart. And I can tell you guys, this one
But she
is
didn't have the
falling
letter.
apart. It is like an
Candace, I didn't see this part when I was listening to this in the background with Jay Witt. Candace, the letter is real. You don't believe it's real, but the letter exists in this reality here on Earth. You know, the same planet where you think you're number one. Candace, the letter is real. It has a signature on it. You haven't proven that it's not real. You're talking about, can we see if he sent the email? Can we get the email date and time stamp? No, that will require for you to hack into his email. Is that what you're doing, Candace? You're breaking a lot of laws. You're talking about you've got leaks from the FBI. You got half a Turning Point giving you information for no damn reason. For some reason, you don't care if the killer is still out there on the loose. Never mind, Charlie Kirk had 2 children. And now you want to sit here and say that the letter, it's like it doesn't exist for you? Is that what you're implying? Help me out, because I'm confused. Y'all see why we have captions?
Before he died were honor the Sabbath and buy Josh Hammer's book. Yeah. And also he had just written this Romeo and Juliet letter to Bibi Netanyahu.
But he did write it. As a matter of fact, he typed it up and then he signed it. What do you want? He could have e-signed it. It still came from him. Prove to us that it didn't come from him. And then we can go from there. Because you're not proving anything. Because you don't understand the definition of the word evidence. You just don't.
I feel like that was kind of the plan. But look, the best laid plans, they can fall apart. And I can tell you guys, this one is falling apart. It is like an avalanche of truth that is just coming at the Zionist lobby. Because they were just sloppy in these lies, these post-mortem lies. Anyways, Megyn Kelly, okay, from the top ropes, she just swooped in and did something unexpected by slamming these people. Really, she didn't even try to slam them. She just told the truth. She produced video evidence of what Charlie said to Tucker backstage at the Student Action Summit in July. We're going to get to that also. Do you guys remember how everybody was freaking out when I told the truth about how long it normally takes for Turning Point USA events to come together on campus? Well, I always told you when they freak out, it's a clue. And now I know why they are kind of freaking out.
No, it's not a clue. They're annoyed. What should freak them out is people talking to you and telling you things only for you to go out and twist it up. Because you're not producing any evidence of these conversations. You're not producing any emails. You're not playing any recorded calls or anything. So they're probably like, damn it, someone's still telling her something. And then guess what? It leaves the door open for her to just lie like hell or twist up the conversation. And now that person's stuck in the rut. Like, I didn't tell her that. But now they got to admit that they told her things. That probably will cause them to freak out more. This is why Erica Kirk is not responding to you. And that's what you really want, Candace. We all know you're seething over the fact that you can't be her. And for some reason, you forget that policies and procedures could have changed over the last, 5 good years since you worked at Turning Point. Y'all look at this freeze frame. I promise you I'm not trying to do this. It just happens to be iconic every time I pause. Oh, man. Oh, Candace, you had all this coming. And you want to be the CEO of Turning Point USA so bad. You're so jealous and envious of Erica Kirk. It's not even funny. Because what you can't do is prove that you and her are friends. You can't even prove that you and Erica Kirk have had communication or that you're acquaintances or associates. You can't even prove that you two have had any conversation over Twitter X. And we're waiting on that. Until then, we all have the right to assume based on your character behavior, your just nonchalant attitude towards her and her safety, how she feels or what she thinks. You want to sit down and talk about how she has to learn how to distinguish between being a CEO and a widow. Oh, okay. The entire time she's giving you her ass to kiss when she ignores you. Yeah, nanny boo boo.
I'm going to tell you. So welcome back to Candace.
You can't make this up.
Okay, I'm excited for today, for the rest of the week, because we have got some very interesting updates for you in the Charlie Kirk assassination, the assassination that seems to have broken the brains of Zionists. They are not acting right. Can we all agree? Zionists are not acting right. They are panicking so much that they randomly sent Ben Shapiro out into the daylight. And that, my friends, like I said, is a move, okay? Cersei would never send Joffrey Lannister into battle, right? And they just went ahead and did that. And he lied to Megyn Kelly's face. It is never a good idea to lie, full stop. Definitely not a good idea to lie to a woman's face. And definitely not a good idea to lie to her face and try to humiliate her on her own tour. I personally would have strongly advised against it, okay? If somebody said, is this a good idea? I would have said, you know what? Let's maybe not do that. But it happened. And it's important to stress here that this was not just a simple mistake that Ben made, right? That's always a possibility that Ben really thought maybe he's backstage and sees something on Twitter and somebody said, Candace just said that Erica Kirk murdered Charlie, and then he gets on stage and he repeats it. Maybe it's just an accident. Highly unlikely, but of course you have to run that plausibility. But we can now confirm that that certainly was not the case. This was not a simple mistake because in the days following it, he didn't recant. He did not modify. He did not correct. He has a platform. He could have just come out and said, oh, I got the details wrong. Nope. This was a premeditated and a post-meditated lie, okay? Intended to morally blackmail Megyn into a position to decide right now on the spot whether you are going to stand with
Candace. Now you know how it feels when you're out here lying like hell with no evidence, and you've caused 3 to 4 Jewish conservatives to have death threats made to them online from Nicholas Ray. Are you ever going to denounce his actions because he listened to you and a neo-Nazi, Candace Owens? Until you do that, then who cares how you feel? Erica Kirk could literally sue you right now, and it would not even be hard. It wouldn't even be difficult for releasing and disseminating her deceased husband's medical information without her consent. Because that's whose consent you would need, girl. You don't get to disseminate medical information that is personal, identifiable information without consent. You could still be held liable for invasion of privacy. And there is case law to support that. Erica Kirk, please sue her. Please sue her. You wouldn't even have a problem raising money to get attorneys. You probably would be able to get 2 or 3 attorneys to represent you for free. To sue Candace Owens? Oh yeah, they'd be happy to do it. Because she posted your deceased husband's information out. Medical file with his name, date of birth. We didn't have to see that. And she did it without your consent because some voice in her head told her, yeah, this is okay. So no, Candace, you just get what's coming back on you. And you have insinuated that Erica Kirk was involved. Everyone portrayed him. No one at Turning Point can be trusted. Everyone is lying at Turning Point USA. She's the CEO. Naturally, you're including her when you say everyone at Turning Point USA or everyone has betrayed Charlie Kirk. Everyone. You didn't make any exclusion to that. So you're trying to say what people should be able to conclude from your statements, as if we don't have the right to make those conclusions when you're not giving exceptions. When you're not clear on any of that, you're making general statements and general accusations that are causing people to catch online death threats. So I don't want to hear you complain about none of this. I'm just going to laugh at it. Period.
Evil Candace, who was accusing Erica Kirk of murdering her own husband.
Yeah, what you got?
And that lie backfired gloriously. By the way, I think if it had been any other person, like if it was not Megyn Kelly who was sitting across from Ben, his strategy would have worked. That was high pressure, peer pressure. She happens to be extraordinarily media trained, and she didn't buck. Okay, she looked uncomfortable, but she did not bend to his will. She kind of just moved along and said some stuff about Tucker. Asked again, like, "Are you sure she said that?" And he said, "Yes, she said that." And then she found out, obviously, that I did not say that. And the following night of her tour, during a Q&A section,
it was absolutely
somebody
right.
named Josh stepped up and asked her about that moment. And here is what Megyn Kelly said.
Hi, Megan.
Hi.
My name is Joshua. My question is, during a recent stop, you had Ben Shapiro as a guest, and he had made some claims about Candace, saying that she had said certain things online, and when he made those claims, you looked visibly uncomfortable because, you hadn't heard that and couldn't
Correct.
verify that. So my question is, why did you look so uncomfortable in that moment, and have you researched?
That's exactly right. Those are the statements that Candace stated. Erica Kirk is not qualified to run Turning Point. Charlie really didn't want Erica. How do we know that that was the succession? She's made a lot of statements that the average listener, hear me when I say, Candace, because you're bad at journalism and you don't understand free speech when it comes to others. That means when you make these types of statements, the average reasonable person listening to it, we all have the right to deduce what we want out of it. But the average reasonable person is taking from that you're including Erica Kirk, and every time you attack Turning Point USA, or when you say you're questioning the succession, how do we know if Charlie Kirk really wanted the next CEO to be who it is? What do you mean? I know we were listening to that episode. I said that's his wife. Why wouldn't he? How do you know that's not in his living will? Y'all remember me saying that? Yelling at the computer. It's like, this is his wife. What are you talking about? Because that was my response when she said that. Candace, you're saying these things in your episodes and you don't watch your own shows, apparently. Or you want to forget that you said it. Because what's in these videos, that's permanent. You can try to edit it out if you want, but guess what? People have probably downloaded it, so you can try your best to tamper with it if you want to. It just makes you look like an even bigger liar. My response to when I heard that was, how do you know that Erica Kirk was his wife? Why would it not naturally go to his wife? What if that was in his living will? And even if he didn't have one, she's the next of kin. She's the next in succession as his wife. I don't think he would want anyone else to do it. Because if he did, he would have notated that in some sort of documentation. Evidence, something that you can't define, Candace Owens. Evidence. The word of the day, children, is evidence. You can't make this stuff up.
The claims that he made sense.
Thank you for that. Yeah, no, he said that Candace has been claiming Erica Kirk was behind the murder of Charlie, which I had not heard, and I was taken aback because that seems like something I would have heard. It's so crazy. And I have since learned it is not true. Candace has not made that claim. And in fact, I've now seen several clips of Candace specifically defending Erica Kirk and saying she would never make a...
This is coming from the woman that said, I don't know Candace Owens. We're not friends. I don't watch her shows. I don't take in that type of content. This is what came out of your mouth, Megan Kayla. When you were asked about these things, why did you quickly deny Candace Owens? And I debunked her, by the way, by playing a video of her playing Candace Owens videos on her show. So Megan Kelly lied right back to Ben Shapiro. If you want to accuse Ben Shapiro of lying to you to your face, guess what, Candace Owens? Megan Kelly lied right back to his face with 4 false statements back to back to back to back. I don't know Candace Owens. We're not friends. I don't watch Candace's show. I don't take in that type of content. I'm not the mother of the internet. I mean, that's true, but she's not. But why would she quickly denounce knowing Candace Owens? Why would she deny being her friend? Why would she lie and say she never watched her show? She don't take in that type of content. I was easily able to debunk that one. So she literally lied to Ben Shapiro to his face about simple, basic things that could easily be debunked. Candace, your implication of Erica Kirk being involved is enough. Because when you say that everyone at Turning Point betrayed him, everyone at Turning Point is lying, everyone at Turning Point is covering something up, or they're a part of this, you are including Erica Kirk because she is the CEO. And no, you can't sit here and say oh, I'm not including her. How do you don't? She's a part of the company. She is the company. She's a face of the company, rather. She's the CEO. And not one time did Candace Owens ever say except Erica Kirk, because I would never imply that she's involved in her own husband's murder. Nope, I would never do that. No, what did she do? She reacted to Erica Kirk's interview and then said, see, here's where you have to have the difference in between being, the CEO and the widow. Because if you're going to be the CEO, you have to be able to take the heat, the criticisms and all of that. She tried to justify it as a criticism. There's a difference between a criticism and a flat out accusation. More words she can't define. Candace, where's evidence of your damn degrees? The 2 degrees you claim you have. We're still waiting.
A claim like that about Erica, and that she is open-minded to other people at Turning Point. That's obvious. She's been making that point. I had heard that point. But she's specifically been defending Erica Kirk, and she's been saying she does not think that of Erica. And in fact, if you read her comments, she's under pressure to make comments about Erica. And so far, what I've seen, she hasn't. So thank you for that question.
You haven't seen everything.
And I'll tell you right now, Megan was not done.
Your show.
And I will say this, even if I remove myself from a situation, it is actually the most disrespectful thing that you can do to someone that you purport to be friends with or friendly with. I can't even imagine that. Like, hey, will you join me on stage? I really like you and I'm on tour and I'd love to have you on stage for a discussion. And then this person starts coming after me and questioning my moral compass. Really process that. That's just not cool beyond anything else. So I was pretty dumbfounded when Dave Rubin weighed in on the matter and he called what Ben did, effectively trying to humiliate Megan on her own stage. He referred to it as almost an act of bravery. Take a listen to what Dave Rubin says.
All right. First off, again, like I know I guess I'm glazing Ben right now, but he deserves it. It is not easy to go onto someone else's show in general when it's not a live audience and criticize them. But it's really not easy to do it when you're in front of thousands of people. I don't know how many people are at those shows, but it's certainly thousands.
Did. I thought they supported Trump. What's wrong with them?
When thousands of people are there to watch Megan, and then you have to criticize her a little bit, and he did it absolutely respectfully, and I think he did it properly. Listen, I don't care. Look, you can tell I don't really want to talk about Tucker. I certainly don't want to talk about this Nick guy, but sometimes these things just hit you in the desk, and I agree with Ben. Like, I have a job to do, and if I don't address the things sometimes that I don't want to, then I'm probably not very good at my job, and you should watch another show. I don't really want to talk about Candace. We were great friends for a long time. She has been to this house for dinner. She loves chicken parm.
Well, I can fact check you. I have been.
Okay, wait. Why did you cut it off right there, Candace? He was making a point. I don't want to talk about Candace Owens, but does he have a choice? There was more to come after that. Why didn't you let it play, girl?
House for dinner, and I do really love chicken parm, and I had a good one at his house.
Candace
I will say
has
that.
no
I'm not gonna
spine.
front.
She can't handle
But the other part that he's saying here, I don't know what happens when you're a Zionist, where you just on this one topic, and this was what it was with Dave Rubin, and why I had to stop being friends with him or friendly with him, is like they just don't know what it actually means to be a good friend. You do not, when you are invited to join somebody on stage, prepare a lie, right? Present them with a lie and try to peer pressure them in front of their own fans. That's like, there are a million things that can happen before that ever comes to it. She did not invite him to have a debate. She invited him to come on her tour and to introduce, to have him in front of her audience and to have a conversation about their values. It's just not the right place, not the right time. And it really just shows that you're not a good person. She probably went backstage, okay, and said hello to him, was all friendly. If you want to take her to the side and said, hey, I wanted to have a face-to-face conversation with you, that's how like regular people would handle something like that. Not try to humiliate you on your own stage.
Regular people would not say they have leaks in the FBI for an open investigation involving a murder where the defendant is facing the death penalty. Regular people do not post up a medical file that was given to them illegally in violation of HIPAA privacy laws and disseminate that information without consent. Regular people don't sit here and accuse a kid in a crowd because he's wearing a green hoodie of being suspicious out of thousands of people that were there wearing hoodies and long sleeves. Regular people don't do that. Regular people don't insinuate the entire United States military is involved in this death of one civilian. Regular people don't sit here and talk about communistic bees or underground pipes or Egyptian airplanes, and then say that UTC means Utah time.
That's just going to make Meghan upset, and Meghan does eventually do what I do when I get mad. I double down on the truth, right? That is what I sentence people to, more truth. And it's fantastic just to be able to share more truth. And you don't have to be vengeful. You can just share more truth, and it's deeply upsetting to them. And that's what she does. She was literally trending all weekend. This video that she shared was incredibly interesting because you will recall that after Charlie died, there was basically just me, Tucker, and Meghan that were trying to say, hey, something like was going on, and he was feeling a lot of peer pressure in the weeks leading up to his death. And Zionists were claiming that's all a lie. And Tucker was...
Y'all can tell she going off script here. Candace, Megyn Kelly denied knowing you, said that you two weren't friends, that she did not watch your show or take in that type of content. Why don't you confront her about telling those bold-faced lies? In response to Ben Shapiro confronting her about you. Why don't you just ask Megyn, why did you say you don't know me and we aren't friends? I mean, I didn't say we are friends, but why did you say you don't know me and you don't listen to my show? That's not true. Because, Candace, if you cared about disseminating the truth, you would at least ask those two questions. Why did Megyn Kelly deny knowing you, and why did she lie about not watching your show? You two being friends could be arguable. But it is a fact that she watched your show prior to her making that statement. It is a fact that she knows you. Those are facts. Because, you know, facts are facts.
Like, no, Charlie asked me explicitly in July to go on stage and to go after Israel, trying to drag us into the Iran war. And I was talking to him about Jeffrey Epstein, and I was saying to Charlie, I won't do it. And Charlie wanted me to do it, right? And the Zionist said that he was lying. I'm going to refresh your memory here and let you listen to what Tucker claimed that they then said was a lie.
Before that speech that I gave in July, we had a conversation about this backstage right before I went on. And I was fulminating and getting all red in the face like I often do, to my shame. And I was mad thinking about this and thinking about the effort by the neocons in the United States to draw us in to another forever war with Iran. It's not a defense of Iran, of course. It's merely an acknowledgement that we've done this before. This happened in Iraq, which we entered into at the behest of those same foreign policy strategists, and it didn't work. And so I was going on at some length backstage with Charlie, and I said, probably not going to talk about that. I'm not going to torture you. I know your donors hate this when I say that. And also Epstein was in the news, and it was clear to me that Epstein's probably not like a Mossad agent or something, but Epstein clearly had contact with Israeli intelligence and American intelligence and French intelligence, but the only one you're not allowed to talk about is Israeli intelligence. But it seemed true to me, and I had done some work on that, and I knew a bunch of people pretty close to that story. So I thought that, and I said that to Charlie, and I said, but I'm not going to say that because I don't want to make your donors mad.
Stop rambling on.
Endless
Get to the point, bro.
Flurry of text telling you to stop or you're going to lose a bunch of funding. And he looked at me, I'll never forget it, and said, go all the way. Do it. Go all the way. I said, man, a lot of things I can talk about. I don't need to talk about that. And he said, do it.
Oh. Yeah. Like I said, they tried to bury Charlie in a yarmulke, and we were telling you, no, he had a change of heart towards the end. And I was telling you that Turning Point had captured that. They were all mic'd. Okay. So
you didn't prove that he had a change of heart. You didn't prove that. You showed no evidence to show that he was saying, I'm no longer going to be pro-Israel. And then you don't want to acknowledge a 7-page letter that actually exists here on planet Earth in this reality where you think your podcast is number one on this planet. You can't make this up.
The Turning Point captured that, and they could have easily released it to give me a little bit of backup, but of course that wasn't going to come from them. Well, just my luck and Tucker's luck that Megyn Kelly actually caught very quickly. Maybe it looks like maybe her assistant's backstage. I don't know the backstory here, but she was in that discussion, which I had not heard before, and she reveals very quickly. You were going to hear Charlie say that Tucker should go for it. So this is what Megyn Kelly released on her show yesterday, and you should go watch the full episode. Take a listen.
I found a video of me, Tucker, and Charlie speaking backstage right before Tucker went out. Tucker and I were talking. Charlie came over and interrupted for just a second. And you can hear him on this tape, which I've listened to many times. It's very clear on my phone, less clear here probably as we play it. But he says to Tucker, go Max. He interrupts the conversation because he has to say to Tucker something. And what was so important to him to tell Tucker was, go Max. Here it is.
Okay, go Max. Come on.
It's quick. It just happens to be on tape. And it backs up what Tucker said.
Well, Charlie, we're going max now, okay? Because Tucker told the truth. He had a conversation with Charlie about everything, and Charlie wanted him to go hard. Now Megan's adding to it. He even interrupted right before he hit the stage and said, go max, because because Charlie was done with these donors. He was done with them. He really was. And I can tell you another story about which donor was waiting for him once Tucker got off stage and yelled at Charlie. That was a female Jewish donor. And I will be outing her later because I don't care about anything right now. Anyways, point being is we were telling the truth. And we have been facing so much peer pressure, so much nastiness for just trying to get out the true narrative about where Charlie's headspace was at before he died. And I don't care about anything right now. Anyways, point being is we were telling.
Pause. Y'all see why we have captions on? A female Jewish donor, and I will be outing her later because
I don't care about anything right now.
I don't care about anything right now. Candace. So when you get sued, I want this screenshot, this freeze frame, to be played in court. They will reference the Lady Luck Club channel with the time and date stamp. What is this? 13 minutes, 25 seconds. Where you said outing her later because I don't care about anything right now, which means that you should not give a damn if she sues you either. Because she won't care about anything then. Because this is what happens when you sit here, put your foot in your mouth. You're going to be outing someone. That means doxing because you just can't help yourself when it comes to cybercrimes. Candace continues to commit cybercrimes. Doxing is illegal. You thunkhead.
I don't care about anything right now. Anyways,
point being,
I don't care about anything right now. Yep. Anyways, adding to it, he even interrupted right before he hit the stage and said, go max, because Charlie was done with these donors. He was done with them. He really was. And I can tell you another story about which donor was waiting for him once Tucker got off stage and yelled at Charlie. That was a female Jewish donor. And I will be outing her later because I don't care about anything right now.
You're going to out someone because you don't care. You're going to be doxing her because you don't care about anything. Of course you don't care about her safety. Of course you don't care if she catches a death threat. Of course you don't care. This is the level of criminality that Candace Owens is willing to do because she doesn't care about anything right now. You see, Candace, this is why you're bad at journalism. Because you have no couth or tact or respect for the rule of law or anyone else's safety or protection or anything. And yet you wanted to decry, they're trying to bankrupt me when they sue you. Do you understand how dangerous that is to do that? We don't care who this Jewish donor is. We just don't. Because how does any of this pertain to Charlie Kirk's death? What was this supposed to prove here? I would never tell someone to not say what they want to say when it comes to their reporting. You have free speech, free press. I don't think Charlie Kirk would have to assure Tucker Carlson that he can say whatever he wants on his platform because he does that shit either way. He's already got his own platform that's doing quite well. So what did that prove? It didn't prove that Charlie Kirk was switching his views from being pro-Israel. He simply said, go Max, say what you want. Because he believed in free speech, Candace Owens. There's a damn difference. This is what happens when you don't report the full facts, the full story. When you don't play the whole video. Then you sit and try to twist the narrative up. Charlie Kirk was a big believer in the First Amendment and free speech. So he just, to that extent, he didn't care who was donating to him. He didn't want anybody to cause him to have to restrict free speech and free expression. That is the message I got out of that. I didn't get anything out of here about him switching from being pro-Israel. He was simply saying, say what you want, which is something I would say because, Candace, no one has stopped you from actually posting up your dumbass videos where it's filled with more sponsors than we can, consume. You still sitting here making videos. That's all that was. Because see, that's how it works with free speech. We also have the right to draw our own conclusion. You don't get to infringe upon that. You don't get to force your narrative on people, because you're going to have people that are going to look at the facts, put the feelings aside, and look at it from the stance of Charlie Kirk reassuring someone who's supposed to be a member of the press or whatever that you have the right to free speech under the First Amendment. That's it. That does not imply that this Jewish donor had anything to do with his assassination, that he was changing his views on being pro-Israel, nor does it give a green light that you should go out and dox her. Because, Candace, you're an idiot right now. You got 4 kids and a husband. Why would you want to continue to violate laws? Yeah, okay. Catch that lawsuit. Don't go whining and crying about it, because no one would care either.
Anyways, point being is we were telling the truth, and we have been facing so much peer pressure, so much nastiness for just trying to get out the true narrative about where Charlie's headspace was at before he died. And my favorite part of all of this now is watching them lose.
Make this up?
The people who tried with all of the money in the world to artificially direct the markets toward them after Charlie died are losing, okay? The people who sold t-shirts, who got on stage and said they were Charlie's favorite pastor, America's pastor, I'm going to take over for Charlie. People who use their connections, their wealth to get themselves almost invited to be a part of Charlie Kirk's legacy. People that didn't even support Charlie Kirk while he was alive. The people who rushed to lie about me and Charlie's relationship, as close as we were. You guys are losing. I want you to
Where's the evidence that you and him had a conversation within the last 12 months? Starting from last year of August until the day of his death. Were any text messages with date and timestamps, photos, videos of you two having any conversation or any dealings with each other 12 months leading up to the day he passed? Where is that at? Because we're all wondering. You can't be close to someone when you completely disrespect his wife, telling her that she's going to have to disseminate when to be a widow and a CEO. That she's going to have to take the heat of what? There's no heat coming her way from any other direction except yours. You're the only one sitting here shooting daggers at this woman. And now you're alleging that Tyler Robinson did not pull the trigger and shoot her husband, and that someone else did, and you won't even say who it is. That is cruelty to no avail, Candace Owens. That is evil. And that is louder than any noise you're making about a Jewish donor.
know that, because the market, turns out the market is smarter than you are. I go back to that Taylor Lorenz tweet early on. She's a hardcore lefty, yet in the immediate aftermath of Charlie's death, she said, it's wild that Candace is the only right-wing figure that I've seen posting in a way where she seems genuinely devastated to have lost Charlie as a friend. Why did she tweet that? Well, I have an answer for that now, Taylor, now that I'm seeing straight, because it's becoming very clear to me that Charlie was a product to everybody else. He was not a human being. He was a product that they felt that they had manufactured. That is my honest opinion, and I am entitled to that opinion, okay? And not only did they—
We just don't care, because we don't care about anything you're saying. Do you want us to go over your YouTube channel where you're getting millions of views for every video where you post up about Charlie Kirk? You've already had a content creator calculate how much you were averaging in revenue just on views alone. That didn't include the supers, because people are giving you like their paychecks and stuff when you're valued over 200 million between you and your husband. You alone have you're worth $5 million. 220 million with George. So people making you more wealthy is weird to me, but whatever. But you're garnering 2 to 3 million views per day in your videos. Numbers you weren't seeing before Charlie Kirk passed away. And then you have the audacity to still throw in all these stupid sponsors. Cattle Valley Ranch and all this nonsense. Who cares? You're making money galore, and your sponsors are making money for every video you do about Charlie Kirk. Do you really want us to go over the numbers, Candace? Because we can do that in another video. We really could. If I have to sit here and research how much money Candace is making per episode. It will blow your mind, and it will be more than anyone else on this platform is making when anyone is putting out a video about Charlie Kirk. You're making stupid money reporting on Charlie Kirk. He's a product to you. You've even taken the likeness and image of the CIA logo and weaponized that for revenue and for financial gain, which is a violation of federal law. You don't even care. You're violating laws by using the CIA logo or the likeness of it to make money. You've got it on cups, shirts, hats, all this nonsense, and you did not get their permission to do that. That is a federal law violation because Candace Owens has no respect for the rule of law. I don't understand why she's not halfway to Russia by now.
That they had manufactured him. They felt that he was now malfunctioning. He was malfunctioning. And we're not going to let this go.
Ugh.
We are not going to stop speaking about this topic because I sense that we are getting very close because they are very angry. And we should recap very quickly the verifiable lies that we have thus far been told by Turning Point USA themselves, which apparently they're trying to say it's off limits. So now you can't call out all these lies that Turning Point USA has told.
You keep saying Turning Point USA, but you never say except Erica Kirk, except Erica Kirk, except Erica Kirk. You're not introducing that exception. So naturally, people will deduce that you're including her. You see how that turns into you accusing her of being involved in her husband's murder? Maybe you don't see that because you don't understand the definition of the word evidence either. So yeah, this freeze frame is epic. Look at this.
Told you this is what they're trying to struggle session us into because Erica Kirk is now the CEO, so they're off limits. So they're allowed to lie. No, that's ridiculous. We will not be following that. Here's our list, and this is by no.
Well, this is why people think that you are assuming she has something to do with it, you dingus. Candace, you're a whole wombat. And that is my feeling. That's how I feel. And I'm not going to stop saying that. You're a wombat. You have no brain. That's it. And whatever's in that skull of yours, it's got to have the remnants of fecal matter. Because all those recurrent yeast infections.
Means definitive, okay? So getting this together briefly, they told us these lies. The amazing, heroic, magnificent Mikey McCoy had blood all over him. That's a lie told by Pastor Rob McCoy. Charlie was a committed evangelical who only liked Catholic architecture. That's a lie told and reinforced by Alex Clark and Andrew Colvett. Lie number 3.
Where's the evidence to prove that this is an actual lie? You have to present documentation, Candace, to show where he said something different to what you have here. Because right now, you're taking the fact that he did like Catholic architecture and to say, well, I don't feel that was the case, so that's a lie. No, it's not about your feeling. Facts don't care about your feelings, girl. Y'all have to remember, as she reads this, she does not know the definition of the word evidence. She doesn't, or fact, or truth.
3 is that Charlie's neck stopped a 30-06 bullet because Charlie ate salad. He had strong bones. It was a modern day Christian miracle. That's a lie. The offender is Andrew Colvett. Another lie. Charlie never blinked in his support for Israel. Offender Josh Hammer, Bibi Netanyahu, insert Zionist here, many Zionist, Christian Zionist influencers as well. That turned out to be a big lie, an unnecessary lie. Lie number 5, the magnificent Mikey McCoy called his dad first. That's a lie. Rob McCoy told that lie. Number 6.
What proof do you have to show that? That could be easily proven with a call log, girl. So unless you've hacked into his phone or hacked into his phone account and you got his call log, how the hell are you going to prove that one to be a lie? You have offender on here as if you are a true investigator. Candace Owens is not an investigator. That is not a lie. Candace Owens stated that she has 2 degrees. Those are big ass lies.
Is Terrell, the AV guy, was told to remove the cameras by police. That's not true. I have every second of his moves. That offender would be Tyler Boyer. Okay. He lied. Number 7, Terrell moved the SD cards because people were stealing hats. Question mark, Andrew Colvett. What if you were scared about people stealing? Maybe remove the cameras?
You can't make
very expensive cameras would be the thing that they would steal. What are they going to do with your SD card? They're going to resell that? Like, that doesn't make sense. Those are pretty cheap, right? Lie number 8, Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk never had any bad blood between them. The offender there was Alex Clark. Ben Shapiro was on her show, and I don't know why she tried that little bit of propaganda when she knew that wasn't factually true. 9, Charlie established.
What do you mean? What evidence do you have to support it? What are you talking about? What do you care if someone else had an argument with each other? Or even a disagreement? Maybe they got into a fist fight. Who says they didn't make up and hug and bro it out at the end? You can't make this stuff up. Well, Candace did. She made all this stuff up. Girl, all you're doing, you guys see here, this is the pattern of her conspiracy theories. Throw in the communistic bees and the underground pipelines, and you've got everything she's made. Oh, and the Egyptian airplanes and the entire U.S. military being involved. And yeah, you have all the conspiracy theories summed up on one list. And what she does is she takes this list and just recycles it over and over and over and over again. We're at a point now where she's summoning up all the conspiracy theories and laying them flat out so you all can see the cycle of how it's going to rinse and repeat. Because that's all you're doing, Candace Owens. It's a rinse and repeat cycle. You know, them yeast infections, boy, they deteriorated your brain.
Doge. That wasn't unusual. Turning Point financially audits the company every year since its inception. Lie. Doge was entirely different from the apparatus of financially auditing yourself, which is recommended and actually in some states required for a company that size. That's 501c3. And 10, like I said, this is by no means a definitive list. Mikey McCoy was a hero that day. Now, you could say that's subjective, but I feel like that, like, objectively to be a...
No. That's another word you can't define. No, ma'am. Nope. That is completely subjective. We don't care if you can't define hero either, because that's another word I'm just confident that you don't understand the meaning of. So, no, if he's the hero of the day, he's the hero of the day. That is subjective. No, you cannot invoke objectivity into that because you have no evidence to prove that. And then you have to define what hero is. And you're talking about complex measures here that you cannot follow through on because we're still waiting for you to prove that you have 2 degrees. Where is the evidence of your 2 degrees, girl? I'm waiting for University of Rhode Island to respond to me by tomorrow.
Hero, you can't just make quick phone calls. I don't know. I not include 911 in that list. So I'm going to put that on our list of lies. Now we're going to learn some more things that are interesting and compelling. Now, remember, there was that mass panic about me telling the truth about how long it takes for campus events to come together, the schedule, how long, how early they will start promoting for people to buy tickets. I was on tour every single semester, okay, up until June of 2024, okay?
For 2 years.
And they were mass panicking about this. They were all coming out of the gates. Ali Stuckey debunking. I was like totally bizarre, as if I didn't work for Turning Point and go on these tours with Charlie. And when people start panicking in that way, they're just alarms. Okay, you have to think of these people as alarms, and you should understand that you're getting close to something. And what I've learned has been pretty incredible.
No problem, Bonar.
So going back to our timeline, I will remind you, it was July 18th. According to the local Utah News, they found this out. It was July 18th that UVU Turning Point chapter requested to have Charlie speak. That is very late in the day for a request. They're usually backed up entire semester.
How do you know they didn't change the way they did things? The policy procedures that, you know, how do you know they didn't change up some stuff? You know, they had to be accommodating because he got married and had 2 kids. So maybe he was flexible with the time and dates and things when it came to establishing, you know, these events. How do you know that? That wasn't the case. How much more obsessed are you going to reveal to us that you are when it comes to Turning Point? Candace, you will never, ever, ever be CEO of Turning Point USA, no matter how hard you try. And that is a reassuring fact that we can all rest peacefully with at the end of the day. Erica Kirk, please sue her.
Well, guess how quickly Turning Point headquarters not only approved it, but then sent people to campus to begin scouting a location almost immediately in early August. Within 2 weeks, they had boots on the ground and they were scouting for a location, and it gets worse, okay? I learned that after UVU showed them multiple options inside and outside. UVU recommended to Turning Point that they not hold the event in the amphitheater because of safety reasons. Not a good idea because we can't shut this area down. It's not a good idea because there's no control here. We cannot control the traffic, the flow of traffic coming in and out of this amphitheater. But Turning Point insisted that that was where they wanted to have the event. It was because Turning Point insisted that that event was then held outside. Now I can tell you.
Charlie Kirk was the CEO. He had to sign off on that. Are you kidding? Candace, you have to show proof that you had this conversation with someone at UVU. Why didn't you get this on the record? Oh, that's right. Candace is not a journalist. She's not a journalist. Girl, you are so bad at this. It's not even funny. You didn't try to get any of this on the record. You didn't record this conversation or videotape it or get email exchanges. Nothing. Nothing in writing. Nothing recorded. Oh my God. Candace, you are bad at this.
Yeah. Having done these events, that was the first thing among many that struck me as odd is anybody can just walk into that's the whole point of safety is you want to make sure at these students, you're checking tickets, you have security looking at them up and down. Do they look weird? Who are we supposed to keep eyes on? This guy's weird. Let's watch this guy because he's mumbling to himself. The whole point of that, the reason why you feel safe going to a Turning Point event is because
this is how you end up with the kid with the green hoodie, being blasted all over Twitter X because she thinks people look weird and they're suspicious, and that's it. And that's all it takes and nothing more. While she withholds any information about an alleged shooter that's not Tyler Harbison, so that we can ensure the safety of Charlie Kirk's kids. Y'all look at this freeze frame. Oh, this freeze frame is iconic. It's like, oh no, I'm seeing myself in the mirror.
Not everybody can just walk up and sit down when they want to. Okay. You want to look people in the eye. Suddenly, that didn't matter to them. Turning Point insisted on having the event outside, despite UVU saying they communicated to them, they did not think the outside was the best idea because of safety reasons. So my question now is which specific Turning Point employees went down and picked that venue outside? I want to know. In fact, I need to know, and I will know. Right? We're just, if you know, send me a tip, but we're going to find out.
No,
okay?
no. You supposed to already know this, Candace. You can't make this stuff up. Candace. Didn't you just say you got information from UVU? You are supposed to be showing us this information in writing, in a video, a recorded call, something. What do you mean? You want a tip on this? No, girl. You go get the information on the record. For F's sake. You I promise you these freeze frames. I'm not trying to do this. Oh, that was the iconic Candace looking at herself in the mirror and being scared of what she's seeing.
What's the events department looking like that does that? I know, by the way, that Mikey McCoy's wife is one of the events directors. Now, I'm not saying that she does campus events in specific departments. She might do the bigger events. But was she at all involved in planning this event? I want to know. She may not have been. I need to know, and I will know. And if you would like
You don't need to know. You don't need to know. And anyone that's at Turning Point, will y'all stop telling her stuff? She's already said she's going to out another Jewish donor. And who knows what that could lead to. Stop telling Candace Owens stuff. Make her do the work herself. I mean, if you're going to go out here and get the information and you fail to get it on record, that's your fault because you're not a journalist. But Turning Point USA needs to ignore her because it's getting people caught up. She's talking about outing yet another person because they're a Jewish donor. Do you understand that someone's life is now being put in danger again because of Candace Owens and her willingness to dock someone because she doesn't care about anything? So if you work for Turning Point USA, do you think she's going to care if you lose your job? If you get fired because you keep giving her information for her to turn into a conspiracy theory because she's too lazy to go to UVU herself and get this information, I don't know, recorded on a video? She could go live from UVU. Candace, you literally can fly out to Utah Go to the campus yourself. Get off your butt from the state of Tennessee. Catch a first, I'm talking about like first, what's the first class? Travel, first class, top tier hotels and everything. Because you can afford it. And go to UVU. And tour the campus, all this stuff. You can go find the pipes you think is underneath the ground. You can go do that yourself. What do you need a tip for? No, make her earn it. Make her behind earn it. Take your 4 kids. You can teach them about peas and carrots on the plane. And you go out there to UVU your damn self. And you go find out whatever it is you need to know. And get it on the record. If you're smart enough to do that. Stop giving this girl tips.
Us to find out quicker because you have that information, please send us an email to moretips@CandaceOwens.com. Who were the Turning Point employees that were the boots on the ground that scouted that event and that location and insisted on the outside? The reason they gave them that they insisted on it was because they liked the place outside where Charlie could pull up, where the vehicles would be able to pull up. Makes no sense. I have gone through an unbelievable amount of kitchens. Doesn't matter where you pull onto the events just to get a college campus. You're always walking through a kitchen somewhere on campus. So the idea they liked where they could park their cars, it's not tracking for me. Okay, just not tracking for me. Something else that I want to say, because somebody may have more information that will make it easier for me, is that we randomly received a tip from somebody who knew Pastor Rob McCoy from Thousand Oaks, California, and they were speaking about just kind of the area and how tight-knit it is and the church. And they said, one of the things that's really weird, some of us have been speaking and we had never heard of a Mikey McCoy, like his son, Mikey McCoy. So I followed that tip pretty lightly. This is by no means like a deep search, but somebody on the inside of Turning Point told me that Mikey, or Michael, rather, is not his first name. It's a middle name, right? And I just want to know what his real name is because I am not letting go of this like Mikey invest.
No. You don't need to know his first name. Maybe that's not something he wants to disclose to the public. We all know that you're crazy because, yeast infections have rotted your brain out. It's gone, girl. But these are the things you don't need to know. The public does not need to know his first name. That's personal identifiable information that he deserves to have kept private. If he wants to go by Mikey McCoy or do business as Mikey McCoy, that is his prerogative. It is not for you to post out his legal name that the public might not have access to or doesn't need to really know. What the heck is wrong with you? And Mikey, Michael, what difference does it make? I think Mikey is like a nickname for someone whose first name is Michael anyway. Just make the assumption it's Michael and keep living. That's not going to get you anything any differently as far as information on him. And you keep going after the pastor and the pastor's son. They're going to sue you, Candace, because you're harassing them at this point. You have no proof or evidence to insinuate them in anything. And now you're talking about getting personal information that might not be disseminated to the public already. And if it's not out there for the public to know, we don't need to know it. It deserves some level of privacy. Get out of here, kick rocks, girl.
Investigation. Something just feels off to me. Rob and Mikey, something ain't right. It's not tracking. So if you have that information, please email moretips@CandaceOwens.com. Now, to my Turning Point USA people, I would like to give a special shout out to Dylan Erickson and Austin Erickson, the bros that work at TPUSA. I want you both to know that I am on to you. I have known every word that you have said about me, okay? And I have been investigating you guys for 2 months straight. Just so you know, like every word you're saying, I'm tracking.
Yeah, they should sue you for that. It's called cyber stalking and spying. Y'all see how many we can keep going with laws that she's breaking here. You're exposing them, their photos out here. They calling you crazy like the rest of us are. And you sitting here talking about I've been investigating you too. You're not an investigator, Candace. You're not. You're not even a journalist. You're certainly not a reporter. You're not anything. You're a blogger. You're a gossiper. You're one who has no regard for the rule of law. It would be wise if you start leaving these people alone. But see, here's where they need to take a lesson from the Macrons. File a lawsuit against her for defamation. The bullying, the harassment, the cyber stalking, The doxing is out of control. She is obsessed. She wants to be CEO so bad that she's breaking whole laws, invading people's privacy, including Charlie Kirk's, to sit out here and get millions of views. And for what? And then gets mad when they sue her. Sue her. Can y'all stop being scared of Candace Owens and sue the crap out of her? Sue her. And be done with it. Because I don't see how this is going to put so many people in danger. So many more people.
Okay. Just wanted to do a live shout out to you guys because you're a major piece of this puzzle that I'm trying to put together. I'm aware of why Refi, the major sponsor behind Charlie, and Dylan, your involvement, Austin, your involvement with bringing that sponsor on. Things got a little different once they were brought on. Demands got interesting. You are on my radar. You've been on my radar since you were involved in creating the lie, the alibi lie for the Hamptons retreat with Seth Dillon. You lied. Okay. Seth Dillon did press Charlie. Charlie himself described the Hamptons event as an intervention. And you felt the need to insert yourself in to lie. And there has to be a reason why, right? Nope. We don't have to lie when we don't fear the truth. So I just wanted you guys.
Yeah. Owens, you're going to tell us the evidence that, proves that you have 2 degrees. I mean, when are you going to release the verification that you have 2 degrees? Because you lied about that. You lied and said you have a degree in journalism and in English. Where's the evidence of your 2 degrees, Candace? What school was this from again? And what year did you graduate? What year did you get those degrees? I don't care if they were online. Just show the verification.
Know that I'm on to you. And I just felt like maybe you were just like, oh, she hasn't mentioned us. And like, I got a whole file. We're going to get there. We're going to get to everybody. We're going to get to everybody. Anyway, to the Turning Point employees, also, I want you to be aware and very careful, because I know a lot of you guys are leaking to different people. Be careful leaking emails, okay? You can leak the content of the emails, but do not leak the actual emails themselves, because we've had some tech people alert us.
She sounds like she's the CEO, like she owns the company. Erica Kirk, we listen, girl, I know you're grieving. You can have a representative or your attorney. Just remind her, you're not the owner. You're not the CEO. You're not, I don't care if you want to call yourself a masonry. I don't give a damn what you call yourself. You don't work here. You've been 5 years removed. You're not the CEO. You were not selected or appointed by Charlie Kirk to be anything. You're keeping tabs on a private company. This is not some company that's being completely funded with tax dollars here. We're not talking about a federal agency. It's a nonprofit organization. It's my understanding it's nonprofit. But maybe, I don't know. Is it nonprofit? Because it was my understanding it's nonprofit. So you're talking about a nonprofit organization that you are purporting yourself to be the leader of by giving directives. You want to talk about leaking? And you said that you got leaks in the FBI. You dingus. You've got leaks in the FBI, and you have the audacity to tell a nonprofit organization that still has the right to remain private and confidential in however they operate, that they should not be leaking email. All you're doing is being vindictive. Vindictive and retaliatory because people are talking about you. So what? They don't like you. They can't stand your guts. It doesn't feel better coming from me. They want you to leave them alone.
That they were running something through softwares, and it looks like Turning Point has implemented a software to track your email verbiage. Essentially, they can make it so like everybody's email, one word is different. So if that email ever hits the public, the actual picture of the email, they will know exactly which employee it came from. So leak the information, do not leak the actual email, or if you do leak the email, tell the people not to share the email, okay? I wish they put the same energy behind finding out who killed Charlie Kirk. Am I crazy? I'm crazy. I was like, they don't want people speaking about what's happening.
Yes, you are crazy. You say you have leaks in the FBI. That alone should get you some level of an interference and obstruction, investigation, if nothing else. Kosh Patel, grow a spine. Grow a spine. They talked about your girlfriend. We get it. She's suing. The end. You're going to have to grow a spine. This is interference and obstruction. This woman admitted to having leaks in the FBI. That is going on.
At the company that's supposed to be a charity interested in free speech and faith, and they're worried about what information getting out exactly. What are you guys so concerned about? I don't know. It's not making sense to me. It is kind of making sense, to be honest, but we will just keep trucking along. Also, as we continue to paint this picture of the corruption of faith, right? TPUSA faith has got my attention. I learned that there was another pastor who's close with Charlie. We've received some emails about him, who had a family member who was present that day. And don't go away because it's about to get interesting. We'll be right back. All right, you guys. Now I've been speaking a lot. These people, it's like they just materialize, and I have just some interesting leads. So if you maple bacon and teriyaki about these people, it's like they just materialize. Money back guarantee. Right now, you'll get 20 /.
Look at these
By the way, since we're going max, if you went to high school with Mikey McCoy, Dylan Erickson, or Austin Erickson, I would like to hear from you because I'm having some trouble tracking.
Okay, and if you went to the University of Rhode Island with Candace Amber Owens between 2007 and 2009, I would like to hear from you. Please email me at LadyLuckClubLLC@yahoo.com because we're all trying to figure out why would she lie about having 2 degrees. Because Candace too can play this game. And I don't even need information about you. I just want a confirmation of whether or not you received a degree. I don't even need to see the degree itself. Wouldn't care. Just want confirmation of whether you received a degree or not. So if anyone has attended the University of Rhode Island between 2007 and 2009, 2010, you know what? Let's take it back to 2006 to 2010. Please email me at LadyLuckClubLLC@yahoo.com. I just want simple confirmation of whether or not you can attest to Candace Amber Owens, whose date of birth is public information, received a degree in journalism and or English from the University of Rhode Island. And let's say she said she went back after paying off her $150,000 student loan debt. So that took 4.5 years to do. So let's go up to 2014 to 2015. So between 2014 and 2016, if you attended the University of Rhode Island, please email me and let me know whether or not you attended school with Candace Amber Owens and if she received a degree. Did you witness her graduate? Yes or no? That's it. Don't need any other information. Don't care. Just want to know if she actually received a degree and if you were in her graduating class and you can attest. Or if you were in classes with her and you say, hey, she dropped out, she never came back. That's all. Flood my emails with that. Yeah, because Candace, who can play this game, you dingus?
These people, it's like they just materialize, and I have just some interesting leads. So if you went to high school with these individuals, I'd like to hear from you because these people didn't, to my knowledge, Mikey did not go to college, and yet he's a chief of staff. He's 23, he's super young. There's some stuff I need to be able to track, and I'm having difficulty tracking that. So
yeah,
thank
I'm
you.
having
More tips at
difficulty getting confirmation of her 2 degrees.
Beyond that,
LadyLuckClubLLC@yahoo.com. I'm having difficulty confirming whether or not Candace Owens received 2 degrees. She said journalism and English after she paid off her loans. So if she dropped out in 2010, let's do the math on this real quick. We're talking about her returning or re-enrolling between 2014 to 2015 to complete these so-called 2 degrees. So email me if you have any knowledge of whether she did or did not receive these 2 degrees or re-enroll into school or any school for that matter. Where's her cousin at? Did she do an interview? I would love to interview her cousin. Because that would be the first thing I ask. Did she receive a degree in journalism or English or both? Because Candace, you lied about that. And you have no proof. You presented no evidence that you received 2 degrees. None.
I would like to follow up with you guys on something that we left open-ended. I'm also going to put together a list of things that are open-ended. It may appear open-ended, but I'm tracking down everything on the side. I am very organized in the background here. And it was regarding why Charlie had a medical file at Utah Valley Hospital, despite the fact that he went to Timpanogos, right? I think you guys have emailed me and said that I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm just going to rock with Timpanogos. Now, we had wondered if perhaps the two hospitals shared information because that's a plausibility if you're using the same tech or maybe you're within.
You don't need to wonder. Just Google. It's hospital exchange information. First of all, you have to get consent either way. So you disseminated information you did not have consent to disseminate. Irrelevant to whether these two hospitals exchange information. Why would they arbitrarily do it is the question, Candace. And they don't know whose patients are coming in. You're talking about to the ER, to the emergency room. He didn't have a doctor's appointment. But if I go to a hospital, and even if they refer me, they have to get a consent, an authorization for my medical records to be released to that other hospital. It comes down to consent, Candace. You don't know how any of this works and you're bad at it.
The same healthcare system. We can now confirm that those two hospitals do not. They do not share information. Timpanogos Hospital is owned by HCA, which uses a charting system called VDI. Utah Valley Hospital is owned by IHC, and they run on a system called Epic, which many of you guys emailed me about. Like, I recognize the system. It's Epic. They had recent.
Girl, why did you post up that information without consent? You obtained it illegally. Who is the medical staff that sent it to you? Because they should be fired. They violated HIPAA.
Implemented Epic. They are not interlinked. These two hospitals do not speak to each other. If a patient has never been to Timpanogos Hospital, but they have been to Utah Valley, their info would not come up at all in Timpanogos' system. So we don't know why that is. We don't know why this anomaly occurred where Charlie Kirk had a file and when nurses were notified not to touch the file. We can't make sense of that. It's very strange. We're going to move on from that. I just wanted to follow up and tell you that.
Why? They don't have to. If the nurse is not in charge of that patient, they don't have to. That's part of the measures they have within the hospital system. If you don't need access to a patient's information, even as an employee, even if you are a nurse, then the expectation is that you're not researching and pulling up people's information. I've worked in hospitals for at least, I want to say 10 years, 10 good years. I did not pull up patient information like that. And I'm not working in patient care. Or if I was in a particular department, if I didn't have just cause to pull up patient information, the expectation is that you're not doing it. So no, you don't just do that, even if you're a nurse. They don't have to be told not to touch his information. It should be expected that they're not, if they're not the nurse in charge of his care. It should. Candace, this is a Google search. You're bad at this, girl.
If you know something, obviously email us. We're going to move on to something else that I find interesting. Because we all know Bush did 9/11, but did Bush do 9/10? It's a joke. But we received this interesting tip early on. We didn't really know what to do with it. Some students on the ground described witnessing an old man talking to a bush, right? They said there was this old man and he was talking to a bush. Weird. We thought, okay, that's weird. It's weird, first and foremost, that there were so many old people in attendance at this event, full stop. Older people were all the ones who happened to be speaking to the news. I was like, are there any young college kids available at UVU that attended this event that could have spoken to the news? Apparently not. But like I said, not much we can do with that information. So we just kind of stored it in the back. And then our source was able to track down a video of the alleged old man that they were saying during like setup before Charlie had arrived, was talking to a bush. Now, I'm going to show you the video they sent. We absolutely can.
That's an interesting thing. I didn't know that. He resigned in April 2019. I wonder why. Candace, why did your husband resign from Turning Point UK? He worked at Turning Point UK? Or he was chairman? Is that why she wanted to fly out using Charlie's credit card to go to UK? Because he worked for Turning Point UK? So it was not a coincidence that she knew him. Candace, you're lying about how you met George Farmer. I could say that. Because if he was chairman, then you knew he was there in the UK. So was that something that told you to go to UK? Or did you look him up realize, oh man, this dude got a lot of money. The next thing you know, you're taking a credit card, booking a flight to go out there to the UK because George Farmer was chairman of Turning Point UK. That's my opinion. Because, we can all do this, Candace. We can all sit here and just formulate all kinds of assumptions and theories and opinions and, conspiracies. We can do this all day, girl. Because we know, but we don't know, Do you know no? Don't you know no good? Candace, you don't know no good, girl. You don't know no good.
Not definitively confirm from this video that he is speaking to a bush, but we can at very least confirm that he's near the bush and he's alone, okay? And here is that video, and I'm going to tell you why that tip suddenly became interesting to me. Okay, we're going to show it to you quickly, and I'm going to slow it down and circle down. There he is. There's the bush we're referring to. There we go. Okay, so that's the video that we received, and it is interesting because it turned out that old man is the brother of Pastor Jack Hibbs. We've been speaking about these pastors, man. These pastors. Pastor Hibbs, great friend of Charlie Kirk, also another leader of a Calvary chapel, just like our boy McCoy, Pastor McCoy, Calvary.
Stop disrespecting that man. Is a man of God. You don't sit here. You call him what? Yeah. Look at this freeze frame. This. I told you all. Candace has like dark eyes. It's like nothing behind those eyes. No soul, no consciousness, no nothing. Candace, is it okay if we dox your kids' medical information? Would you be okay with that? With Epic? Because I have a feeling you would be upset if this happened to you or your children while you sitting here putting out copyright strikes on people's videos because reasons, or throwing tantrums when you get sued. All this disrespect is that what you reap is what you gonna you sow is what you reap. What you sow is what you will reap. This is gonna come back on you hard and heavy, girl. The doxing, the harassment. You're putting yet another person that we do not need to know out here in the spotlight. And for what? You still can't give us concrete evidence of another shooter. And yet you're saying Tyler Robinson did not pull the trigger. It is just psychotic at this point. Where is George Farmer? Come get your wife, bro.
Chapel churches in California. Well, yeah, Pastor Jack Hibbs leads one. Butch Hibbs is also his brother who's involved in a Calvary Chapel church in Utah. And later, what's interesting is he's behind Charlie when he gets out of the car. Like Charlie comes out of his car, arrives for the event. He's with the amazing Mikey McCoy. And you can see that quote unquote crazy old man, as described by us, is actually he's here with Charlie. Scary. And Frank Turek confirms that pastor, that Butch Hibbs is Pastor Jack Hibbs's brother. Take a listen.
So we get there, we pray, we get out of the car. There's a whole bunch of TPUSA leaders there that want to pose for pictures. Charlie graciously poses for pictures. He posed for a picture with me, and we'll show this picture here. This is me, Charlie, and in the middle is Butch Hibbs. That's the brother of Jack Hibbs. Pastor.
Why is she looking like that? Look how evil she looks. It's like a sinister look. Candace, you don't own Charlie Kirk. You do know that, right? You don't own him. You can't control who he had in his life, who he married. I mean, honestly, I feel like she's jealous of his two children. You understand you don't control him. Like you don't own the rights to Charlie Kirk or his name or anything like that. You're so envious and jealous. It just reeks. It comes through the laptop. Like that recurrent yeast infection you can't seem to get rid of.
Jack Hibbs. And he came to the event, wanted to meet us both, so we took a picture. This picture was taken maybe 20 minutes before the assassin struck.
Now, what's compelling is really that just like every other one of these new age Turning Point pastors, Hibbs are from a military family, okay? Butch Sr. was in the Navy. What he did in the Navy is unclear, but I'm interested. I'm just really interested. Also, something that I'm just going to say on the side here is too many people that are involved in this Utah story I met through Prager University. Like Jack Hibbs was somebody that Marissa flagged for me that she wanted me to have on my show. Like she'd say like certain guests. The guy who runs Operation Underground, or did run Operation Underground before he got into a scandal, also was introduced to me by Marisha Strait. It's just, there's a lot that in the back of my mind, I'm going, this is interesting. A lot of these characters that are just kind of, that Tim Ballard is the one that used to run Operation Underground, which is a charity for sex trafficking. And he's been featured a lot in the story, characters that knew him, person on the plane. There's just a lot's happening here is all I want to say. And I find it to be odd. Okay. There's a picture emerging here. I am wondering about these new age pastors. Like, is that what everybody does when they leave the military? They start a church, or are we looking at an operation? That's the question that I have. And yeah, I would, if you are a part of Calvary Chapel anywhere, I would just wonder if your pastor just came from the military, and if he's from a high-ranking military.
Yeah, if you're a pope at a Catholic church, are you from the military? Because I guess Candace Owens, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Because we know, but we don't know. Because you don't know no good, girl. You don't know no good. So yeah, if you're Candace Owens Farmer's, pope or priest, however they have it set up. And then I'm not trying to suspect it. However, whatever is considered. If you're a priest, or can you say if you're in the military or not, or if you have anyone in your family that was in the military? Because I do believe that there are Catholic priests who may have family members that were part of the military. I mean, this could go any way. How do you have such a disdain for the United States military? They keep your dumb ass safe. Just right. You think you have the free speech and expression and all of that. That's what they're fighting for. They're protecting our borders, defending our homeland. And you're sitting here being one of the biggest domestic threats to ordinary civilians that it's not even funny. You're going to dox people and put them out here to be subjected to more cyber harassment. Man, if y'all don't file a class action lawsuit against her ass.
Her family. Did the military execute an operation, a psychological operation on the American people to get us to support Christian Zionism after World War II? Kind of the question that I think is hanging in the air right now.
Stupid question.
After perhaps also the assassination of JFK. Like when you talk about the military industrial complex, like how industrial did this complex get? Is it an industry of churches? That's what I'm thinking. That's what it's looking like to me. And tomorrow we're going to get into the characters involved in TPUSA Faith and this random strand of sex scandal, sex and trafficking and weapons scandal that keeps happening. Okay. We're not going to not look into Turning Point Faith because, you're not allowed. It's untouchable all of a sudden because Erica's at the helm of it. No, if there's corruption anywhere, you have a right to attack it, especially if it comes in the name of the Lord. I will say that. Switching gears here, but sticking on the topic of liars and losers. Kash Patel,
so if you are Candace Owens' priest and you are involved in any scandal involving little boys, please understand we're going to attack you. Yeah. And I'm talking about whomever her priest is, like whatever church she's attending. We can just do a whole rundown of all the priests and all the clergy there. Yep. And try to see if they are connected to any scandals. It better not involve little boys. Because Candace, we will attack it. Because, they're supposed to be serving in the name of the Lord. You can't make this up. The hypocrisy of this. But she wouldn't want any of this to happen to her.
Has to step down. There's no other option here. In case you missed it, Kash Patel, the director of the FBI who represents America on the world stage, right? We are already not being taken very seriously, but Kash Patel is catalyzing that dissent.
No one takes you seriously.
Okay? He's catalyzing that dissent into absolute mockery. He tweeted, I told you about that a couple of weeks ago, leave my girlfriend alone, and then we see you guys, and like, she's my life partner. Like, you left your wife, you've been with this girl for like a year and a half. Calm down, okay? Just calm down. Okay.
Well, the same thing can be said about you, but let's see how calm you are when he finally hits you with some level of interference and obstruction charge. Because that's what you're doing. You claim you have information and leaks inside of the FBI. That's called interference, Candace. That's interference. That's a felony. So, obviously, Kash Patel, you need to grow a spine because it sounds like a challenge. She's telling you to calm down while she's saying she's got leaks inside of the FBI. You're going to have to do something about that, because there is no way a regular civilian who's not an employee of the FBI should be saying very boldly they have leaks that is working in the FBI on this investigation involving Charlie Kirk's assassination. And then puts it out there so cavalier, as if you aren't going to do anything about it. If you be the director that you claim to be, you should not show a deference when it comes to someone interfering with an investigation, a federal investigation. We expect you to be doing something about this with Candace Owens regarding interference and obstruction. Period.
Teenager in love. It's ridiculous. Well, now his girlfriend, turns out, is suing Elijah Schaffer and other content creators for $5 million. For $5 million for her hurt feelings, okay? Because she was called a honeypot, an Israeli honeypot. And in some circumstances, I want to be very clear, they didn't even explicitly call her a honeypot. They just posted a picture. That was a circumstance in terms of Elijah Schaffer. I should actually read some parts of this lawsuit so that you understand that we are not a serious nation anymore, right? We are not a serious nation, and it's important that you come to that conclusion quite quickly, okay? Where are we? So this is directly from a lawsuit. It says that on September 14th, 2025, an ex-user that goes by Hen Mazig published a lengthy and detailed post about the prominent role of female Mossad agents have played in Israel's sophisticated intelligence efforts against Iran, including by seducing top officials, and that some of them reportedly seduced high-ranking enemy officials. Now, in response to the comments on that same day, Elijah Schaffer posted a photo of Alexis Wilkins, that is her name, and Patel, right? So this is what they're suing over right here on the internet. LOL, Elijah Schaffer posts a photo. And the lawsuit goes on and says, ever since Kash Patel was appointed as director of the FBI in February of 2025, the conspiratorial corners of the internet and social media have been spreading a false narrative that Ms. Wilkins is an Israeli Mossad agent, a spy, or a quote unquote honeypot. So here's the thing. I've been around.
No one cares.
And there are some rules to lawsuits. If you have to sue someone to...
Stop. It's not a rule. It's called laws. Candace, let me help you with one of them because you're stupid. Yeah. So I simply put in, can you use photos to cyberbully? Yes. Yes, you can. Yes, you can use photos to cyberbully. Cyberbullying can involve the use of digital images, videos, or messages to harass, threaten, embarrass, or target someone. This can include sharing personal or private information about someone else, causing embarrassment or humiliation. Cyberbullying can occur through various platforms, including social media, messaging apps, and gaming platforms. It is important to be cautious when sharing photos or responding to upsetting messages, as it can have serious consequences. You are talking about rules to lawsuits, but you're not citing the laws that supports them. Cyberbullying is a form of cyber harassment, you dingus. Just like you saying that you're going to out someone is doxing. That's illegal. And the fact that you are sitting here trying to excuse it when it comes from someone that you feel deserves to be cyberbullied does not eradicate the law regarding cyberbullying. You know, because facts are facts and laws are laws, and neither of them care about how long you've been around, you heifer. They don't care about how you feel. They're there. So you want to sit here and get mad? Yeah, that Macron lawsuit must be eating you up, girl.
To prove, as an example, that you are a woman. I love Brigitte Macron.
Oh, here we go.
If you have to sue someone to prove that your relationship is really authentic and real and like love from the heavens, it probably...
Yeah, keep on. They're going to eat this video up in court. The jury is going to have a ball proving that you are doing this with malicious intent. Keep it up, Candace. Look at that look on your face. You won't be looking like that in court. Yo, my freeze frames are iconic. You hear me? Turn these into memes. Y'all do some YouTube shorts on this. You can't make this stuff up. This won't be the look you get in court. It might be when she gets the verdict, when she gets the ruling. When the judge is like, yes, we find that you have defamed the Macrones and that you are to pay a judgment of $15 million. She'll be like, oh, to me to look she'll give. She gonna look at the jury like, how dare you all? Candace, you're a fool.
Probably isn't one. I'm just saying I've been around. That's all I'm saying.
Yes,
and
you've been around
I have
and
been the
around
subject
and
of
around and
so
around.
many conspiracies because of how me and my husband met, right?
No, you create them. That's why you're the center of them or the subject of them. And how you and your husband met? Yeah, we're still figuring that out. Yeah, he was the director of TP UK. So you were able to just Google him or send an email. Perhaps you two pre-planned this. You know, should Turning Point produce evidence of emails between you and, George Farmer, indicating that you two may have had some sort of interactions since he was like the director or he was the chairman of Turning Point UK and all. How do you have a chairman of Turning Point USA? I don't care what country you're in. And you, being the alleged Mason of Turning Point, didn't know he existed in the UK before you flew out there? You didn't know that? You did not know George Farmer was the chairman of TP UK before you flew out there using Charlie Kirk's credit card to buy that expensive ass flight? You mean to tell me that? Is that what you're telling me? Look at his face. It's telling me everything I need to know. He's like, Lady Luck Club, you got me. Red-handed. Look at that. Hands up and all. You got me, Lady Luck Club. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, I know.
People online, people have done threads, put in names that were not even true. I read one thread where they said like a donor put me and my husband. It couldn't be further from the truth. I've never cared. I just laugh at them because it's just not true. It's just none of it's true, so I don't care.
Is it
the
anything
fact
I
that
said, girl, you can kick
she
off.
filed this lawsuit, of course, means that she did this with the blessing of her quote unquote life partner, Kash Patel. He knew this was happening. He did not stop her from doing this. Are they trying to convince us, or is she trying to convince him, or is he trying to convince himself? Okay. And of course, inevitably, what happens when you file these lawsuits is people then get interested in you. And there is something called the Streisand effect. Now, before the Streisand effect happened, I was already interested because he's acting weird. He's just acting really weird right now, Kash Patel. And she might not be a Mossad honeypot. I don't know. I've never made that claim. There's literally no evidence of that. People, other than people saying she works for Marissa Straight, PragerU, who...
But you're disseminating it. That means you're carrying on the actual cyberbullying, the defamatory slur that's being used to describe her by way of photos or images online. You're still disseminating it. You're perpetuating that. Why? What's the point of you bringing this up, Candace? You and this candy ass cult members. You people are the worst. Why are you telling us about this again? Or was this your way of trying to vent about this lawsuit that the Macrones have against you? That every day you do a video, they're bound to win. It's just more evidence against you in the court of law. You know, everything you say and do can and will be used against you in the court of law. Once again, she's giving us this look that she's looking at herself in the mirror. If she doesn't like what she sees, people, she does not like what she's seeing. This is the still image. She does not like what she's seeing back at her.
She's formerly of the IDF intelligence unit. I worked for PragerU. I'm not a Mossad honeypot person, so that's not evidence. But there is evidence that she comes from a Freemason family in California. Like dad was in the California Freemasons, and grandpa was pretty high up in the California Freemasons. And, Kash Patel's dropping 33 hours like it means something. That's actually more interesting than the Mossad honeypot thing. Mom works in aerospace. So she's not just like some cutesy country singer that has no connections. Like, let's make that clear. She doesn't have no connections. Letting you guys know that. And I am so sick of the idea that you're going to file and bankrupt people because you don't like what's on the internet. That's why this needs to be exposed.
It's called cyberbullying. Get over it. You're going to be sued for much more worse. Yeah, Kash Patel, interference and obstruction. Will you make a move, please? And hurry the hell up. You can't make this stuff up. Candace, you defamed someone when you said that it was a fact that she was born a man with no scientific evidence whatsoever. So yes, they're going to hit you in the pockets. All of Turning Point USA might file a class action lawsuit against you. Erica Kirk certainly has a lawsuit against you for, infringing upon her deceased husband's medical history and medical information. You disseminated information illegally obtained. You didn't have her consent because she was his wife, not you. No matter how hard you tried, you weren't it. He didn't pick you, girl. And you claim to be a mason of something while you say that someone else is a mason. Isn't that the same thing? She's claiming to be a mason while she's saying that somebody that this lady knows was a mason. But you're claiming to be the mason of Turning Point USA. Make this make sense.
Be flamed. The punishment for these sorts of things is these people should be shamed. They should be absolutely shamed. Out of public life forever. If your solution to somebody saying something on the internet is I'm going to bankrupt you, especially something, who cares? You're a country singer. Even if you were a Mossad honeypot, why do you care? Who cares? Like, if you do not know how to deal with the...
It's a slur. It's a slur. It's just the fact. It's bullying. Do you understand what you're saying? You dingus. It's the yeast infections that's sitting here, burning again, Candace, because, court documents reflect that you said you lived with black mold for 6 months and you had recurring yeast infections. I don't have to make that up. I can just pull up the court documents and read it. Yeah, you alleged you had recurring yeast infections. Is that still happening? It's eroding your brain.
I'm going to bankrupt you, especially something, who cares? You're a country singer. Even if you were a Mossad honeypot, why do you care?
A Mossad honey. Why are you saying that? Do you understand that that's a racial slur? Oh, never mind. She can't define the word evidence. Got it.
Who cares? Like, if you do not know how to deal with the internet, get off of it. Just get off of it. It is optional. You are not required
Candace.
to be on X to make videos for PragerU. You are not required to be on X to sing the national anthem for Turning Point USA. Get off of the internet if you do not have it within you the courage to withstand Elijah Schaffer making a joke, okay? All of these people have said things about me. I have been mocked for everything from the color of my skin to who I work for to, you name it. There's a joke out there that said about me, okay? Or not even a joke, people just being insulting. I wake up, I'm called the N-word. Big deal. The internet is optional.
That same thing can be said about you. See, here's the problem. You being on the internet and purporting something to be a fact is problematic. And you think simply because you choose not to go and sue someone that is defaming you means that no one else can? No, that's not how that works. People have the right to pursue legal recourse in the court of law. Because, obviously just talking to you about this doesn't work. That's what the Macrons tried to do. They sent you photos, the birth announcement, and other information to debunk your dumb crap that you didn't have to say at all. You chose to do it. That's what makes this even worse. And you had a complete reckless disregard of the truth. So that made it malicious. And you continuously, knowingly and intentionally purport a false statement about Brigitte Macron being born a man and being a man, with no scientific evidence whatsoever. So you should lose $10 to $15 million. Yep, you should. That's what you get.
Alexis Wilkins, it's optional. Kash Patel, this lawsuit is pathetic. You should be forced to step aside. But, it's probably not going to happen because a lot of things that are going on in this administration have been embarrassing. And yeah, we're hunting down kids on college campuses that offend Jewish people. So we're stuck with Kash Patel. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, let's take a quick break before I get to some of your comments.
Oh, yeah.
There is a reason that I'm proud to say that Pure Talk is my weapons.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, reading the top comment from our last episode, Nick Junes wrote, as a registered Democrat, I think who killed Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, see? She reads comments from the previous episodes because these are pre-recorded and scripted. Candace, you intentionally say these things by even admitting that you have a script. And when you try to get off script, you start stuttering. Because, you don't know how to tell the truth to save your life. Or just wing it like I do. You're bad at this. So the fact that you have a script, it confirms even the more that what you say is willful and intentional. Everything you say and do can and will be used against you in the court of law. Candace, you're in a lawsuit against a world leader. And you still have not learned your lesson. So hitting you in the pockets is exactly what should happen. that 5 million you said that you were worth, or you somehow, been purported to be worth, yeah, you're going to lose that and some. George Farmer, this is what you married and had 4 kids with. She about to bankrupt the hell out of y'all.
It's one of the most important questions of our time. I want to know who killed Charlie Kirk and what's in the Epstein files. I think the same people are behind all of the greatest problems in the last 100 years. It's the source of all the corruption, wars, and even much of the division in our own country. Candace is absolutely doing the Lord's work, and I'm not even very religious. I could not agree more with you. It's
Yeah, okay, because you would pick a comment that just sit here and glorifies you. Candace, that's a question that you should be answering, because you said that Tyler James Robinson did not pull the trigger. Then that means you should have evidence to produce to show who did. Why would you sit on that information? Is my question. Why don't you read a comment where they're asking you to confirm your 2 degrees again? That went
actually
well.
the most important thing. That's why I said I'm not even voting until I saw this, because it is the undoing of everything. It's like we've just all been
cares
just
if you
in
don't vote,
veils, and
girl?
we just have not realized that we're now piercing through, and we're realizing that these monsters rule over us. Also, I see somebody in the live chat on YouTube wrote, it looks like Mikey McCoy went to Oaks Christian in Thousand Oaks. That is correct. And the part that you're missing is that Rob McCoy ran that school. He ran Little Oaks. It's like a boarding school.
No one's missing that. No one cares except your candy ass cult followers. Why do you all care about that? That kid does not pay you all's mortgages or bills. He certainly doesn't pay Candace's bills at all. And she wouldn't need his money to do that either. And Candace doesn't take care of none of you. Why would you send her that information if it's not something available to the public, knowing that the FBI can trace your digital footprints all over social media? Your profile can be uncovered. They can't get any dumber. The candy ass cult followers are brainless. They don't think they can actually be named in something for sending information that was not available to the public.
Little Oaks. I found that out. I guess Rob McCoy, he's actually even more amazing. He's had so many hats. Calvary Chapel outright purchased, for whatever reason, the Christian Academy in 2009, I believe it was. I saw an article about it, because the teachers were suing Rob because he fired them. And then Rob was suing them, saying, well, I fired you because you weren't Christian enough and you didn't come to church on Sundays. It was this whole thing. And he filed in federal court, and the lawsuit didn't go through. I mean, he didn't win the lawsuit. I don't know who won the lawsuit. I didn't really get that far into it. But
why didn't you just pull up the court documents like I do here? Because you're jealous of that. Lady Luck Club can read this stuff. Why you just pull up the court document, girl? You can get your hands on everything else except public court documents. It's laughable to me. Laughable.
Yeah, I'm interested in his interest in this Christian school. Anyway, and like I said, I want to know who went to school with Mikey and the Erickson brothers. Other comments, we have Angie, we need Go Max merch. Team Candace for life. Honestly, that's actually a great idea, because we are going Max now. We are going Max. I love that. I love that he said Go Max. It's just a Charlie thing to say. Brittany Watson writes, the Charlie Kirk betrayal and assassination is shaping up to be the scandal of our lifetime.
And yet you get mad when people accuse you of making money off of Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now you want Go Max merch to make more money off of Charlie Kirk. Yeah, you see how horrible you look, you soulless entity.
And you are leading the charge of investigating and question asking. The world will owe you a debt of gratitude soon, and very soon. Thanks for all. I totally agree that this is the scandal of our lifetime. And they're just trying to gaslight us to pretend like their behavior is normal, using...
Candace, who pulled the trigger? Where's the evidence to prove that you know who pulled the trigger? Who are the leaks that you have in the FBI? Verify those 2 degrees you have. Because this is so scandalous.
Every emotionally manipulative tactic to make us not look further. Like, oh, what about these people? They're hurting, they're grieving. Keep the same effing energy you had when you were like, let's move on, let's raise money. Like, stop acting like you were so aggrieved. Like, if you can just move on and say, like, I'm going to be the new person, I'm going to do speeches, I'm going to carry on. And I'm speaking obviously here about Rob McCoy and Mikey McCoy.
No, you're speaking about Erica Kirk. Be honest, girl, because you're jealous. You're jealous. They're not the CEOs. She is. So stop it. Stop lying about that. That ain't help. You're going to sit here and be this bold. You might as well be honest for once. It's not something you understand. You don't understand the definition of honesty either. Okay.
You don't get to flip and go, well, these people are too aggrieved. It doesn't work for me. Okay. It doesn't work for me. I feel like Taylor Lorenz, like once I came back from Wyoming, I then started paying attention to everyone's behavior. And I was like, why do I feel like I was the only one grieving? Like, what's up with the Turning Point employees?
Erica Kirk was grieving. What the hell are you saying? The CEO of Turning Point is grieving. Still. Still. Candace, you're evil as hell. The CEO of Turning Point is grieving. What do you mean?
Okay? And by the way, obviously, when I say like everyone at Turning Point, I clearly do not mean every single person at Turning Point, because all of these leaks are coming from people that are at Turning Point. So there are amazing people who loved Charlie, who hate.
Yeah, they're going to stop leaking stuff to you too, because they see how dangerous your doxing is and how illegal it is. And trust me, bro. Trust me, bro. When they get caught up and they get interrogated, they're going to sit here and they're going to pin it on you and say, Candace Owens pressured me. If I didn't send her this information, she said she was going to leak out all of my personal information, my home address, photos of my family dog. She was going to get us all. Toto, all of us were going to catch it. You know, because that's how vindictive and retaliatory and evil she is. That's exactly what they're going to say. You know, the same thing that Nicholas Ray is saying now. You know, I watched Candace Owens, and that's why I sat here and sent these death threats. Candace, you have no idea what's coming your way, girl. None.
The corruption that's happening right now, who sense that everything is being pushed under the rug, who have intimately let me know the things that the Erickson brothers are doing and saying and texting. And I just have a file of all of it because of people at Turning Point USA. And they don't care. They want nothing but the truth. And they know they're not getting.
They don't care. They won't. They shouldn't. You know, keep that same energy up. If you all get caught up in an interference and obstruction charge because you're leaking information to someone who no longer works for the organization. Candace, who do you think might be telling them to stop giving you information? Let's take a stab at it. Use whatever is left of your brain that has not been affected by your yeast infections. And just think about who might be stopping them from giving out leaks still. Aside from them thinking to themselves, this is horribly wrong, because we don't have to do this. We don't have to give leaks to Candace Owens. But who do you think could lead the charge on them cracking down on leaks from a whole company? Wouldn't that start with the CEO? Erica Kirk would be the one that could easily say, you leak anything to this airhead conspiracy theorist, you will be fired. And then you can go say whatever you want. Because if they felt like something was truly wrong, wouldn't they be a whistleblower and be protected under federal law? I know I would. If it was a matter of ethics, a question of that, something going on in my organization, my company I work for, I would get the protection of the law and be a whistleblower. They're not even trying to do that. So for you to say that there are leaks coming and it still produces zero evidence and documentation that proves that anyone was actually involved in a murder, it speaks volumes of the stupidity of this and how you're bad at this, even from a journalistic stance. If these people don't care, then they should not care if they end up being investigated or even terminated. But I would go and get the protection of the law if I felt that something was happening that was wrong from a stance of integrity and ethics. I would get the protection of the Whistleblower Act. And then I would be a whistleblower. That way, no one can fire me. But you got to have facts and documentation and evidence to support what you claim to be unethical or something sinister or some plot or scheme that's going on in your company, in your organization. You would have to have evidence to prove that. And they don't have it. That's the issue. Or they're not that smart. Because the average person would just say, you know what? There's some things going on. I'm going to be a whistleblower. And then tell Candace Owens to kick rocks. And then that way I don't have to worry about losing my job. Keep at it, girl. Because, you're building up a case against you for obstruction.
Which is problematic. Brittany Watson, I'm sorry, Kamaya writes, Candace is homeschooling the internet and homeschooling my children in the morning, which has been an absolute blast.
Dear
Such a
God, I
great
feel
blessing
sorry for your
to add that to my day. It puts me in a good mood every day. And Charlie always said, be a happy warrior. So I am a happy warrior. The original Pollywog writes, was that like Binya Binya Pollywog? Look here, please. What does your opening song say? That is from a Kanye song. I hope he's bright and brave and strong. It's, I guess, hitting differently. Yeah, it's a Kanye song, and it's a sample from, it's called Stars. The beginning of it is called Stars. Lots of comments saying DEFCON 3, not death. That was a Kanye joke. Remember, notoriously, Kanye tweeted this.
Yeah.
And everyone freaked out because he wrote death. He meant DEFCON 3 because his defensive position. I'm a bit sleepy tonight, but when I wake up, I'm going DEFCON 3 on some Jewish people. The funny thing is, I actually can't be anti-Semitic.
This is gross. What are you talking about? I don't even want to get grief. Now I have to worry about my video being flagged. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Girl. Y'all, we got to end this on a comedic
All right,
note.
you guys.
Yeah, look who we got. We got to end this on a comedic note. She's going into I can't even, I don't even want my video flagged by saying the words. Why is she posting that stuff up? Oh my God. And then you got Megyn Kelly out here. Oh my God. S-Files said, I'm really curious as to why Megyn Kelly is all of a sudden on Team Candace and why MTG flipped so fast. Something is fishy here. Who knows? She lost Jay but picked up Megyn. It seems like that, right? Candace, when are you going to speak about Kanye West apologizing to a Jewish rabbi? Whether or not you think he did it legitimately is irrelevant. The fact that he did it and it was televised and it went viral. Why don't you speak on that? Why don't you say something about that, Candace? Because he apologized to a Jewish rabbi. I'm just saying. I know, but I know no, and you don't know no, and you don't know no good. Y'all, we got Ami here. Shout out to Ami Kozak. Absolutely funny. We got to end this on a comedic note. I appreciate all of you all for tuning in. And this is about almost 4 minutes. We got a relaxed release. He's got some shocking revelations to give us. Here's Candace Owens, Ami Kozak. Let's tune in to what he got to say.
All right, you guys, more on today's story. We have more receipts. We have more evidence, more shocking evidence, actually. More screenshots, more conversations that just don't feel right. Just don't feel right. They're giving me feelings. They're giving me very interesting feelings. And we are going to explore that. Even though the Zionists and the people who work for Israel, they don't want you to know what I'm about to show you, but I'm going to show you because I believe in the truth. And so we're going to take a look at things that will raise some questions about that narrative we are being sold, that is being pushed down our throat by Turning Point, by people involved, but we're going to find out the truth. Charlie was turning. Everyone's freaking out that Tucker Carlson had on Nick Fuentes, okay? What people don't know is that even Charlie had feelings about Nick Fuentes that you might not realize. I remember years ago, Charlie and I went to the zoo. We went to a zoo, and they had animals there. I'm not sure why the animals were there. I'm not sure why they were being kept from us. That's an interesting question. I just found that interesting that they're behind cages and they're being controlled, but that's for another time. But while we were there, Charlie, he found a frog. It could have been a toad. He found a frog and he picked it up. And we have a picture of that I'm going to show you now. Here's the picture. It's interesting. I just find it interesting. Charlie was holding a frog. Clearly, he was embracing the groypers. That he's holding this frog and he was smiling and he was laughing. And I remember that was clearly a sign to me that Charlie was at least sympathetic to the groyper movement. Okay? Fast forward later that day, Charlie and I had a conversation, which I'll show you right now. Hey, great time today. I'm sorry we didn't get to see the lions. Clearly, he was still a Zionist at that point, wanting to see the lions. That wasn't a coincidence to me, but I just knew something was happening. I loved holding that frog. Had a frustrating conversation with some folks at the Daily Wire. But anyway, I'll tell you more about that later. Obviously, this stays between us. Please don't share with anyone. something was going on. I don't know, no, but I know, no. You know, we say no, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, 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 no. Yeah, 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 yeah. Destiny's Child. They were trying to tell us something. Beyonce. There's something going on. Something doesn't feel right to me, and we are going to get to the truth. Later that week, I had another discussion. This part is so crazy, you guys. This is just wild to me. It's just wild to me. I had a discussion with my doctor, and I will show that screenshot to you now. It says, Candace, it might be herpes. You should come in now and get it checked out so we can properly diagnose. And prescribe the proper treatment. You guys, trust the science. Now, I admit I was naive, I was gullible. Guess what, doctor? No. Darling. Anyway, it just felt like really weird that he would text me that, and it was that screenshot to you. Now, it says, Candace, it might be herpes. You should come in now and get it checked out so we can properly diagnose and prescribe the proper treatment. You guys, trust the science. Now, I admit I was naive, I was gullible. Guess what, doctor? No. Darling. Anyway, it just felt like really weird that he would text me that, and it was just no reason at all. He probably wanted to prescribe me a drug developed in Israel, and I wasn't going to
wait a minute.
Out. So now it says, Candace, it might be herpes. You should come in now and get it checked out so we can properly diagnose and prescribe the proper treatment. You guys, trust the science. Now, I admit I was naive, I was gullible. Guess what, doctor? No. Darling. Anyway, it just felt like really weird that he would text me that, and it was just no reason at all. He probably wanted to prescribe me a drug developed in Israel, and I wasn't going to let Zionists make my medical decisions. Certainly would never do that. Why would I do that? Anyway, you guys, make sure you pre-order. Make him a sandwich. No, thanks. What? I don't want that. We should get you checked out. Thank you, guys.
As long as they got a license.
All right, you guys, more on today.
Yeah, this is all the way you can end the show. Darling. No, we should get you checked out. Yeah, I can't breathe, man. Oh, man. I don't know when the last time I laughed this hard in my life. Oh, my God. Stop laughing. My stomach hurt. Ami is epic. Oh, my God. Oh, we love you, Ami. Keep it coming. Oh, Jesus. Child. Oh, yeah. Oh, good Lord. Oh, my goodness. Oh, Lord, we thank you. Y'all, that was fun. I was like, y'all have fun. Man, I needed that humor. I needed that. I mean, yeah, epic. We love you, man. I can't breathe. I'm crying. Oh, y'all see I'm laid. Like, I'm just trying to angle myself. Who was I maximize my oxygen intake right now? Oh, man. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate you all. This has been a long live. It's 3 hours and 23 minutes, but I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Oh, especially through the legal court document stuff. Candace, they about to hone you in on, no matter how hard you try to think you the ruler of the earth or something. Keeper of the bees, whatever. The communistic bees are coming, y'all. Oh, Jesus. That was funny. I needed that. I hope y'all had a good time. Despite Candace rambling in the Polish communist bees. ZB Germans is communist bees. Megan doesn't even know Candace, but it's defending her because Candace showed her some filter content lying Candace. Exactly. Megan lied to Ben Shapiro's face about, I don't know Candace. We're not friends. I don't watch your content. I don't take in that type of content. I don't watch your show. I don't take in that type of content. Okay. I mean, I proved that wrong, but you know, man, have a good time. What's going on here? S-Files is epic. Thank you all so much. Listen, y'all, we had a good time. That was a great stream. Shout out to you, Beth. I thank you so much. Let me get the supers in, y'all. Yuck 2.0 is epic. You're the man. Thank you so much. I don't even know. Let me not be offensive. I don't know if you're a man or woman, but thank you so much. You're awesome. For the $10, 10 super, the memberships that was gifted. And then we got Beth McBride. Shout out to you. Thank you so much, Beth, for the $10 super. Like I said, y'all, sometimes we meet to go, sometimes we don't. But that was a ton of fun either way. So I want to thank all of you all. Hit the like button. You guys get to bed. I got to get to work in the morning. And I hope you guys tune in tomorrow. I am going to go live. I haven't scheduled it yet because I don't know what time. So tune in. And until then, you guys have a good evening. And until the next one, Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.